Yo, 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 what up, people? It's your guy Rez. We are back again for another epic episode of the live streams that I host every Wednesday. Welcome, salute to everybody that is tuning in tonight, man. I hope you guys are doing well this Wednesday evening. Um, just a couple of things before I jump into the live and the topic and all that stuff. I just kind of want to fill you guys in. If you are new to these live streams, I welcome you guys. Welcome. I'm always open to having new guests hop on and tuning in tonight to just kind of go over the topic. So just to give you guys insight, every Wednesdays I do these live streams. My bad. I'll send you the link in a moment, bro. But yeah, so every Wednesdays it's going to be from 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And basically, it's different topics every week. We are on episode 29, man. So this is a pretty, this live stream, man, has a lot of life to it. It's a marathon. I love these live streams, different topics, different perspectives of different people's opinions every week. And, we just talk about life, man. And this week is a very interesting episode because it is a topic that I have not really I've touched it a little bit, but I never really went into too much detail. And I saw that there was a lot of potential to really have a deeper and meaningful conversation of this topic at hand. So this episode is actually going to consist of two other guests that will be hopping on that will be my co-hosts this evening other than myself. So it's going to be myself and two other experienced veterans in this community and this hobby right here. So I am going to have them hop on one by one and I'll introduce you to them. They're definitely no strangers to the channel. You've probably seen them before, but why don't I let my first guest or co-host hop on tonight? So here we go. What's up? What up? What up?
What's going on? Can everybody hear me? Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mac, I know pretty much I know who you are, and most of the people on the panel do know who you are. But for any newcomers that may hop on in this episode tonight, if you just want to kind of give an introduction about yourself and your specialty, now's the time.
Yeah, man, for sure. So happy to be on tonight. Appreciate you having me. Excited for the topic. And my name's M. Diddy. I've been in mainly the Jersey community for a long time, but I've been a collector most of my life. So I've dabbled in everything from sneakers to streetwear to jerseys, sports memorabilia. So I'm excited to be on here tonight talking about some collectible items and, really looking forward to chopping it up and hopefully dropping some jewels for people out there. So if they have any interest, they can kind of follow some leads and get into it if they've been thinking about it. So
cool. It's dope, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on every week, man. And this topic is I definitely know it's in your realm of expertise. So it's always going to be good to have that extra input from somebody who's experienced such as yourself. And I have another guest that is going to be hopping on shortly after us. And he is basically a veteran to this game as well. I sent you the link, bro. Let me know if you got it. If you didn't, let me know and I'll try and send it to your DMs on like possibly IG or your other social media handles. But in the meantime, man, for those of you who don't know what tonight's topic is, it is actually in the description of the video, which is comics and cards. So I pretty much have here some cards of my own. They're nowhere near levels of like some serious collectors. At least I don't think they are. But I do collect cards to some extent, nowhere near the level of yourself, Mac, and my other co-host that will be hopping on shortly. But I definitely want to break down this whole community and hobby because it's something that I've always like kind of had as a collection, like I guess indirectly. It wasn't something that I knew I was collecting until it started surfacing. And this has been a topic and a hobby that has been around for many years. So I All right, I see you in the queue. I will let my second co-host hop on, and this guy here is no stranger to the Jersey game, no stranger to the YouTube channel. Real solid dude, and I'm gonna let him hop on and introduce himself. So, what up?
What up? What up? What up? Hold on for a second, man. I'm working with trying to figure this out real quick. I'm trying to put myself sideways. There you go. I'm trying to blow myself up. Hold up. My bad. I'm unprofessional, man. I'm still. That shit looks mad. The screen looks mad weird right now. Hold on. Let me. Shit. All right, man. I'll just leave it like that. Fuck it.
You good, man.
I'm good, right?
Look good to me.
All right, man. What up?
Welcome to the episode tonight, bro. No stranger to the channel. You know, I appreciate you hopping on, Throwback King. As I had Mac introduce himself, you know, just kind of tell everybody here, you know, what your expertise is, and pretty much your, I guess, scope of collecting in terms of tonight's topic.
Man, well, I'm Throwback King, aka Albert, the co-creator, I should say, of Kings of Throwbacks on Facebook. And yeah, man, I'm a collector of all things, man. Everything that's retro. I'm not saying I'm throwback just because throwback jerseys, throwback because anything that just reminds me of my childhood, things I grew up with, things I couldn't have as a kid. I just now as an adult, I have funds so to buy those things I never had as a kid. So it's one of those things that yeah, it's fun and it's expensive, but it's a dope hobby. It brings joy to my life, man. And you know, I collect cards, from cards to comic books to Nickelodeon boom boxes to VHSs to MTV, MTV rap cards. Anything that reminds me of my childhood, anything that I love, I collect. Everybody on here, obviously, we all collect. We dabble in a lot of things, but mostly my specialty is, you know, jerseys and stuff like that. But you know, we're more than just jerseys, so you can tell sneakers also in the background.
That's what's up. Yeah, that's dope, man. Yeah, I appreciate you hopping on, man, and being my co-host alongside with Mac here. You know, all right, so you know, we kind of talked about this beforehand, because like I said earlier, in this live, you know, I want to dedicate this live to this specific hobby of comics and cards tonight, because it's been something that has been kind of indirectly hinted, you know, when we do live streams in the past. You know, I've had like Big John, for example. He's also a card collector, and he'll also be tuning in later tonight. He's watching AEW wrestling right now, but anyways, he's you know, he's a big wrestling collector, and you know, he showed us his card collection. And you know, I think for anybody that kind of grew up like in the 80s, 90s realm, you guys know that cards was a big thing when we were younger. I mean, it still is. It's probably even bigger than it was before, but it was never to the level where people like kids that are like when we were kids would look at it like an investment from what it is today. Unfortunately for me, like I was the type of person where, you know, I would unravel a pack of cards, and I'd have like a really rare card, and I just like shove it in my pockets, and just, I know that's like a card nightmare to some people because they're like, dude, what are you doing? You know, but I mean, I was a kid, man. And a lot of kids also, you know, that grew up around the same time as me and you guys didn't think about this. And now it's like one of the biggest like possible investments that you could invest in, you know, because I feel like with cards, they only just get more rarer and more expensive as they age, you know, as opposed to like certain other things like sneakers, for example. You know, they tend to go down in price if they get re-released. With cards, I don't think that happens all too much, but maybe you guys can kind of, you know, chime in a little bit on that, on how to assess like rarity and values of cards over the years.
Mike, take this. Can I just ask one thing? Can you like back up the cameras, like do a different? Because this is like way too much. This is like some morphing time right now. Pterodactyl.
Yeah.
There you go. That's way much better.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, Rez, you brought up a lot of really good points, right? So one thing that's been kind of crazy about the card hobby recently and comics is that you do see some big money coming into both areas. So I kind of look at it almost like regular investing. You know, if you have money, you want to invest in the stock market or finance, you know, you can go into stocks or you can go into, you know, less aggressive investments that are maybe going to pay you like more guaranteed income, but over a longer period of time. So it's not going to be as volatile. And I think that, you know, people that are in that world, in the finance world, they started to see some of the numbers and sales through auction sites that cards and comics were doing. And they looked at that as an alternative investment class, and they've kind of been pouring money into both areas kind of since the pandemic happened. So you mentioned back in the 90s, early 2000s, it's even going back into the mid 80s, there was a period called the junk wax era. And what it was is it was a period in time when a lot of card makers were kind of overproducing the number of cards. And so it kind of flooded the market, and a lot of those cards aren't worth that much now. There are some caveats to that we'll talk about as we kind of expand the conversation. But now the card market has kind of gotten smarter. The people that produce the cards has gotten smarter, and there's more exclusivity in the hobby where, you know, you have limited number cards, parallel cards, things like that we'll kind of talk a little bit more about. But the cool thing is because this boom is relatively new, I think that there's still some pretty good opportunities for people that want to get involved. And that's a little bit of something that I'm hoping to talk about tonight, you know, along with Snacks, and just kind of trying to educate people, let them know what's out there. I think there's a lot of carryover between sports, obviously, with sports cards, but also comics and comic cards as well. And a lot of those areas are kind of newer to people that are a little bit more on the sophisticated investor side. So I'm looking forward to the conversation and hope that that's like a good jumping off point and kind of addresses what you mentioned there in the beginning.
For sure. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. We're definitely going to be breaking down a lot of different topics tonight, you know, in terms of the comics and the cards realm of things, because I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. They're very similar in terms of investment and preserving and things of that nature. You know, Snacks, man, I mean, I know you collect a lot of comics, you know, so maybe if you can chime in on that a little bit, like, you know, in terms of like generations of like comics and stuff, like were there specific comics that were big in one era and not so big now, or vice versa, where they weren't big back then but they're bigger now?
Well, like M. Diddy said, like it's almost the same. It's like the same thing. Like growing up is the same thing with me. I used to buy the comics because I wanted to read the comics. I thought the art was cool. And it was like, you know, you folded up your comics, you know, you need bag and board them now and try to keep them in mint condition. At the time, I just thought it was like cool covers, cool characters. And then when Image came out, you know, when Spawn came out, I got caught up in that whole hype. That was like a hype, you know, the whole Image and Todd McFarlane and the different paper they were using. It was like more like, oh my God, the paperwork and the you know, I got caught up in all that hype too, like growing up. And yeah, there is different levels of this stuff. You know, you get your typical you know, DC and Marvel and your typical superheroes, Batman and all that stuff. And I think what played a big role in everything that we're talking about has got to be the pandemic with, you know, with COVID. And I think a lot of people stayed home, started getting that stimulus check. People were bored and they were like, let me go to the internet. I remember I used to play Nintendo, or like, I want to get a Nintendo, or I used to be really into comic books. Let me just start, you know, let me just dabble back into it. And then it became, holy shit, people were like really started getting those juices flowing, pause, and like really getting back into the hobby. And I think the pandemic played a big role of the big boom once again. And the same thing that M. Diddy was talking about the junk era, because everybody back in 1989 thought that if you say that Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, that put your kids through college. But like what he said, there's rumors that they just kept printing and printing and printing and printing oversaturated the market. There's so many Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards that it basically killed the card. But it's crazy now that we're back into that Ken Griffey Jr. We're gonna talk about grading soon. A graded Ken Griffey Jr. PSA 10 goes for like $1,200, $3,000 around that area, which is crazy. And it actually made these junk wax era cards back to being a little bit more valuable nowadays. Well, the comic book era is the same thing, man. People started collecting again. People started going to the local comic book store, LSC, LS, local comic LCS. That's what they say, local comic book shops. And I started going back to the comic book shop myself, and it started, flowing. I started like reading the comic book, started getting into more characters, started getting into Miles Morales, and like I said, it started getting those juices flowing again. And now I'm like bagging and boarding because there's value behind these comics now, and the stuff that we used to collect too, which there's still the junk wax era version of comic books like Image, and Spawn is considered junk age, and Wildcats, and stuff like that from the 90s with the shiny covers and the hologram covers. That was like, if you see that, like, so 90s, like those stuff is like, oh, this is junk wax. But now is like, because of movies and stuff like that, it's people specking on characters and movies, is making those comic books that nobody cared about, like, very valuable now. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Two questions real quick. It's gonna sound stupid because this is coming from somebody who's not familiar with the terminology. But you said bag and board. Like, what is that, and what is PSA exactly?
Well, I could do the comic books. You could do the
yeah. No,
bag and board is shit. More prepared. Hold on.
I know I'm like a noob when it comes to this, so I'm actually quite intrigued.
So bag and board is when you take a comic book, you take the board and the bag. That's cool. This is the bag and board, when you bag and board a comic.
Actually, I got one of those. Yeah, so I got this and this.
There you go. Yeah. So you
cool.
bag and board that comic. So cool. It's basically like, it's like, it's our version of, when you collect cards and you have the cases. This is our version of a case. You know what I'm saying? There's different levels to, like, there's better quality plastic, bag and boards and stuff that you can buy, but that's bag and boarding.
Gotcha.
Yeah, basically a way to preserve and protect, whatever it is you have. This is kind of the card version. You've got a top loader, so it's a piece of plastic open at the top there, and you put a penny sleeve, which is like a thinner plastic sleeve, and then you put it in a top loader. So that's one way, but there's a bunch of different types of cases that you can put cards in. So like, I grew up in the 80s, they had these screw down cases where you take the card and you put it in, you take the screw and screw it down. Those are bad now. Those are bad because they'll like make the card.
Oh, wow.
So like, you want to stay away from those, and you want to go with one of these guys, which is a mag. These are the one touches that are used for cards nowadays. And just to show you how much the market moves, this is a Glenn Rice card that came out around 2014, 2015, and they put it in a mag, which is like a high-end case. If you were to get this card today, they put it in a penny sleeve and top load it. There's no way this thing would get a mag. But back in 2014, they're like, everybody gets a mag. But now it's a little bit more reserved for the really high-end stuff. But you asked a question about PSA, and that's one of the grading services that you can use for cards. Probably the most well-known. There are a couple other big ones, I would say, that people use pretty frequently. There's PSA is probably the top dog, and then you've got Beckett grading services, which some people like because it has subgrades on the cards. You can actually see how they rate each individual characteristic that they're judging, like that. This is an example of that's a BGS right there. And it gives you the subgrades. This is PSA. So you got the red label at the top. This is a PSA 10, which is top grade.
That's like perfect condition, right? 10?
Yeah,
like
2015 Tom Brady silver, which is like a refractor. You can see the light kind of dancing around on that.
How much is that worth?
This is about $1,000. This card.
Oh,
yeah,
that's big money.
So this is one of my more expensive cards that I got, and then this is a BGS. So just to kind of give people a look at the subgrades there, so you can see the centering 9.5, edges 9.5, corners 9.5, and the surface got a 9. So these chromey cards, you know, they're kind of harder to get a perfect score, especially on the surface. But this is a courtside Ja Morant rookie card here, so pretty hot card right now as well. So
real quick, is he wearing the statement jersey in there? Because I got that jersey.
So it is
Quick
the statement
flex.
jersey, I believe. Yes. Yep.
I love that jersey.
Yep.
I feel some type of way every time I wear that jersey because the Grizzlies always like give the Warriors a hard time. But anyways, in terms of like, so when you get something graded, do you have to switch out like the sleeve or like the top loader like that it's in over time? Is that something that needs to be switched out like every few years or whatever time frame?
So now once it's encapsulated in the actual case, it's pretty much in there unless you actually make a concerted effort to remove it. Sometimes cases can get damaged. You know, if you have a vendor that's bringing a bunch of cards to a show, you know, maybe they drop one, it breaks. So there are some times when people send them in to have them encapsulated into a new case, so you know they can preserve the integrity, because having them encased like this, it serves kind of two purposes. Number one, you're basically certifying this, so this has like a code that's attached to it that you can look up on a register that says that this card has been graded this condition. So it's almost like an authentication purpose as well, but it's also for preservation and protection. So when you have them encapsulated like this, it's a really good form of protection for the card. You can't see, but there's actually a little inner penny sleeve on these Beckett cards. They've been doing it for a long time. PSA just started doing it. So there's actually, you know, it's kind of a more sturdy top loader situation with some additional identification and authentication. So
Gotcha. How about for like the comics? Is it the same thing? Like when you preserve a comic, like you have to, once it's like in the case, does it need to be switched out over a certain time period, or does it?
Like it's almost the same situation what M Diddy's talking about. Is once the comic book is encased, I'll show you. Boom. All right, so I'll show you, like, this is encased already. This is CGC, so it's basically the PSA of comic books. This is like the top dog. A lot of people like to use CGC. So it's exactly just like it's like a big card. It's basically it's in there. It's preserved unless you crack it out. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely preserved. It stays at that grade once it's in here. So, you know, they you know, like a 9.6, and then goes 9.8, which is like one of, like, it's a high grade. 9.8 is basically like your 10 technically, but they do have like 9.9 and a 10, but those are like almost impossible. They have to like get it right after like it got printed. So it's like almost impossible to get like a 9.9 or a 10 for, you know, especially for older comics, you know, stuff like that. But a 9.8 is like you getting a 10 in a PSA card, if you can say that.
So in terms of the grading, because I know like PSA and I'm sorry, what was the comic book
CGC.
CGC. So when they what's the process of that? Like you get your comic, do you mail it to them, or do they have like a local location like in every city? Like how does that work?
Some local comic book shops provide, or if you know somebody, they have like basically like a contract, not a contract, but they're how can I say, M Diddy, they have a like a partnership or something like that, or account with CGC, and they get discounts in bulk. So some comic book stores, you know, you can send it to them. It's gonna cost a little bit more because they're providing a service, and then literally just like PSA, you're not gonna get your comic books for almost a year probably by the time you get it back.
Oh, wow.
And because it's so backed up with so many people submitting stuff. So you can send it yourself. I can start an account with CGC and start it up, and then I'll personally send my comic books to them. And it's like a process. You know, they look at the whole process. Like they look at the corners, they look at just like cars, they look at the surface, they look at the condition, they look at the color of the paper, they look at every inch, make sure the whole comic book is intact, make sure all the pages are there. Sometimes make sure that the ads that are attached to the comic book are still there. You know what I'm saying? So there's a huge, it's like, they go through the whole comic book to make sure, and one is legit, two is all intact and the condition. And basically we're just taking somebody's professional opinion on what grade it should get. Sometimes you can get somebody that's having a good day. It's Friday and he's ready to go home and he's having a great day, and my card can really be a 7, but he's having a great day and he's like, fuck it, I'll give him an 8. So that's like the only kind of thing we're just taking somebody's opinion on the grade of it. But where they're professionals, they know what they're looking at. So, but sometimes, I watch a lot of YouTube videos and they look at comic books and they're looking like, I don't know how this got a 9.6. Everything's centered, the color looks nice and all this stuff. And I don't know how it got a 9.6. It should be a 9.8. And sometimes they provide the people that grade the comic books. You can go on the website and they give graders notes and they let you know what they saw, what's the flaw on what they saw and why they graded the way they graded it. So it's tough.
Can you like dispute a grade? Like if somebody gave them an 8, you're like, nah, man, this is an 8.5. Like, is there a way to
Well, the loophole in that is cracking it. I'm gonna crack this. I'm gonna crack it, and I'm gonna resubmit it without letting them know. But the only thing fucked up part about that, it kind of messes up the census. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I already graded this. It's in the system. Whatever, it's in the system now. So I'm just gonna crack this, get it pressed, have somebody clean it up, press it, and mail it out and try to get that 9.8. And I get a 9.8. All right, great, I got a 9.8. But that 9.6 that's in the system is really not, it's not a real comic. So it kind of messes up with the numbers of how many 9.6 there actually are in the world. Because I decided to crack this case and resubmit it.
I got you.
Same thing. I think the difference I think cards are different because you can't press a card, you can't clean a card. I think sometimes you can just gotta, accept whatever grade they fucking give you. Basically, that's what I think when it comes to cards.
So this is not considered cleaning a card.
Oh, what?
No, I'm just joking. That's like a dad joke. Sorry.
There are certain techniques that you can use, like I said, especially with a card that has a laminated or smooth surface. Like if it has a fingerprint on it, they'll dock you for that. Make sure your card's clean. Really. So you can clean your card. So, but Albert's right. If it's a bum corner,
what up, KBM?
You're not going to be able to do too much about that. Like if there's a dent in the card from something that pressed into it, you're not going to be able to do anything about that. But if there's glue residue that's sitting on top of the card, you can try to remove that. There are people out there that have done that. The other thing that's kind of popular that people will do is they'll see something with subgrades like a BGS card. And if they see something that's 9.5s, but the corners look great, the edges look really good, and maybe there's a 9 on the surface, sometimes they'll say, okay, let me crack this out. It's got, a couple 10s, a 9.5 and a 9. I'm going to submit this to PSA. They don't have subgrades, so maybe it'll cross over and get a higher grade with PSA. So not only are you getting the most kind of recognized name in grading, but you're also getting a grade bump. So sometimes that can work out. It can work on the flip side too. If you have a PSA 9, but you feel like it's in really good condition and you think you can get a BGS 9.5, maybe it makes sense to send it into BGS to see if you can get a 9.5 over a 9.
But the investment part of it, the money wise, for example, I'm gonna use that Tom Brady card, $1,000, right? PSA 10, $1,000 card. Because it's PSA 10, I'm more because it's I'm as a collector, a lot of collectors, I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of collectors see that PSA grade and they're more attracted to that. You know what I'm saying? You can have the same card as a BGS 9.5, which is like equivalent to a 10 of a PSA. Most buyers will go to that PSA because it's the PSA name. Like having that slab will have more value. Actually, if I have that card in a 9.5 and he has it in a 10, and we both have auction, his card will probably sell for higher just because of that PSA name. My BGS probably will sell a little lower because a lot of people are not into BGS. You know what I mean? Not BGS. For Beckett. So it's weird like that. You know what I'm saying? It's the same card. It's just graded by different companies. But sometimes the company can attract. If you want to resell it, it'll be way easier to resell with that PSA name on the behind it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've heard names I've heard PSA a lot get thrown around. Beckett, I haven't heard as much. There's also another one that I've heard, and I don't know if they do like grades for cards, but I know it's kind of like a witness thing. It's called JSA. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or whatever it is, but it sounds like the same concept. But I mean, I'm not sure if that is considered to be like a well, I guess, company that has like good feedback, so to speak.
So I think JSA is like authentication, but for autographs, I think mainly. So they'll have people that go to signings at conventions or shows, and they'll observe a player or a celebrity autographing something and will authenticate that signature. I do know that they have had some instances and some controversies. Like, that's another thing I want to say. Like these grading companies and different authenticators, it's hard to find one with like a perfect reputation. Like, you're always going to hear certain stories here and there about something that happened with somebody's submission, or somebody was doing something shady, and it oftentimes isn't an indication of the overall company. It's usually just an isolated incident, but you know, there is always a little bit of a risk that you're playing whenever you dabble in this sort of stuff, unless, you know, you're dealing with something that's super airtight. But even I've heard about, you know, Michael Jordan famously has an exclusive deal with Upper Deck.
Yeah.
So there's this perception that as long as you're getting an Upper Deck authenticated Michael Jordan autograph, that you're in the clear. But of course, there have to be scumbags out there that create like fake holograms and like fake registry numbers. So you always have to make sure you're doing your due diligence, especially when you're dropping, you know, significant money on things. So that's certainly something. You know, one of the things that Albert and I are on here today is to just kind of try to educate people and provide resources so that if they do want to kind of get into this at all, that they kind of know where to go and what to look out for.
And I want to point that out that, you know, growing up, we didn't care about grading systems and all that crap. We just collected, and they were like, you know, we like the condition. We kept it in you know, sleeves and stuff like that. But the benefit, if you're a collector that's trying to invest or trying to just preserve your cards, like, you could turn that $5 card into a $100 card just by getting it graded. You know what I'm saying? The book value, the raw value is there, but you want to take it to another notch. One, you can make more money. Two, you can actually authenticate your comic or your card, because, you know, obviously there's a lot of fakes. Because to me, I'd rather buy a graded card. Like, when it comes to like retro stuff, like, you know, my Clemente rookie card, I didn't want to buy a raw Clemente rookie card. I wanted one graded, because I want to know that it's authentic. Because if it's graded by PSA, at least I know the card is authentic. It wasn't, you know, dealt with. It wasn't like people like color, you know, people sometimes color in stuff and stuff like that, or it's a fake card. To just the peace of mind, if I'm going to spend my hard working money, I need to know that what I'm buying is authentic. You know what I'm saying? But there's people out there, like comic collectors, they just collect raw. Like, raw meaning they don't have graded anything. They just like collecting the comic, having the comic in hand and just loving it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? Some people are just loving it just to have it in their collection, and they don't want to get it graded. Because sometimes, what happens if you grade this card and it takes a year? You don't know what's gonna happen in a year. What happens? God forbid something happens to me. This fucking and CGC still has my comic book in their system, whatever. But there's a lot of people that just are against grading. You know what I'm saying? They're just collectors.
Yeah.
To me, I like grading because it looks really dope. And plus, like, to me, it's always like, I love my comics, but life happens. Things happen in our lives that you're stuck in a corner and like, yo, I really need to get out this thing. At least I know, like, I could go to my collection and say, okay, I can get rid of some of these comics to get myself out of this hole that I'm in. You know what I'm saying? It's a good investment,
Sure. I want to backtrack a little bit and kind of talk about like the different types of comics and cards, like in terms of like modern versus vintage. That was something that was kind of discussed briefly prior to this live stream here. But I mean, how do you identify what are some of the key things to identify like a modern card versus a vintage card? Because for people who are not into this stuff, they wouldn't be able to tell, right and wrong and with this whole thing of like identification of eras and stuff.
Diddy could probably explain the comic, like the Silver Age, Golden Age. I can't explain that. I'm not good at that. I'll do the card thing. Like cards, like obviously, like if you look at a card, sometimes you look at the back of the card, you can see like the last year of the stats or something like that. Or on the card, it'll actually say on the small print underneath, it'll say like 1987 tops. It'll give you the year. You know what I'm saying? And plus, with modern cards, trust me, you'll know what the modern card is. Most likely the year is on the card somewhere. Like you're gonna know that a John Morant rookie card, it's a modern card because John Morant's a modern player. But if you're into sports, obviously like Michael Jordan, whatever, is like 80s and 90s and stuff like that. But there are inserts that have like 2022 cards that have Patrick Ewing on it because they just want to, they have some kind of insert with older players and stuff like that. So as far as like, vintage is like super vintage, like baseball 50s and 40s. Then you have like the tobacco cards from the 20s, 1800s, something like 1918 or something like that. Like the Honus Wagner, one of those most famous freaking expensive cards of all time. Those are tobacco cards that they used to have these little they weren't called baseball cards. I don't know what they were called. They were called baseball cards. They used to put it in tobacco packs, I guess. And just to promote,
that's crazy,
to have people buy tobacco. But those cards are so rare because nobody said like, I'm gonna put this in a penny sleeve and save it for the rest of my life because I know this is gonna be worth something sometime. No, it was just a picture of a dude in a baseball uniform. Like, really think about it, we're collecting pictures of our favorite players. If you think about it like that, it's weird, but I don't know what the real question is, like, what attracted us to freaking collecting cards? To any of us, like, to me, it was like, yo, bro, it's pictures of our favorite players on a piece of cardboard. Why? What's the attraction of that? Is it because it brings us closer to the game? It brings us closer to the player. I like to collect a certain player. I think that's what it is. Like that 1989 Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck rookie card, that's history. That's the first Upper Deck card that was ever made, and it happened to be freaking Ken Griffey Jr., one of the greatest players of all time. In my eyes, I thought would never. As a kid in 1989, I thought that card was $1 million, and I was never gonna see it. Every time I saw that card shows, I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. By the time the card was worth like $80 to $100, and I'm thinking like that. To me, that was $1 million. But now you can go on eBay right now and just pick one up real quick. You know what I'm saying? That's the power of us, being adults and having money. And yeah, so there's the different eras on the cards. You'll see it on the cards, the years and stuff like that. Especially if you're a sports fan, when Iverson came out in '96, so that's his rookie year. So everything that's came out in 1996 is going to be his rookie season. But basketball is kind of weird because certain licenses. We could go deep into this because Michael Jordan was drafted in 84, 83, 83. And his rookie card was from 95 Fleer.
86.
85 Fleer. I mean, so it's like, this is a real deep conversation, man. My thing is Google. The power of Google and information and YouTube is great if you really want to know certain people's rookie cards and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. Nah, like there's definitely layers to this, and I think even with how in depth we get, I think we're just scratching the surface.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Definitely. You know, like I want to have people get introduced to this, and like you said, Mac, you couldn't have said it any better. You know, this live is intended to be an educational live, you know, to kind of steer people who might want to be or who might want to get into this and kind of be steered in the right direction and making that right decision. Because you know, when I collected cards, you know, and I use that term very, very loosely, you know, I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. You know, like I literally would go to my comic book store, I would buy a binder, you know, that I would get like at my local you know, Target or whatever, and I'd get like those little where you put the 9 cards
Sleeves, yeah.
I sound like a noob, man. I'm sorry. Like
No,
I'm just
good.
you know, like just kind of reminiscing, you know. And then me and my brother, we would go to our local comic book shop, and you know, we would buy like booster packs and stuff of like X-Men cards and sports cards, and you know, we kind of, my brother was the one that was I think my brother was the one who was looking at it more from an investment standpoint, you know, because he actually like took the time to buy like, you know, top loaders and cases and binders, and you know, he would never let me touch the binder unless I washed my hands with soap and my hands were completely dry. Like that was his like commandment, like you shall not touch this binder unless your hands are clean. And he would ask me too, and you know, I was the type of kid where I would just like take them out, show them to my friends, and you know, throw them all over the place. And it's crazy. It's just like crazy thinking about it. But like Mac, like maybe like can you give like some insight into like the vintage and modern aspect of things?
Yeah, for sure. So as far as comics are concerned, like Albert said, there are different eras, and they kind of follow some of the patterns we talked about earlier, where you know, stuff in the 90s was kind of more massively produced, but they're still really popular and important comics from that era. You know, I think some of the ones that kind of come to mind first offhand are the one that Albert showed earlier, New Mutants 98, first appearance of Deadpool. You had Spider-Man 300, which is first full appearance of Venom. Things like that. So, you know, these characters that are wildly popular, they've gone on to have movie franchises, you know, with Sony and Marvel. And, you know, like as we've talked about before on previous shows that you've had, like there's a lot of legs, I think, with anything related to the MCU. So, you know, I feel like that's going to be kind of, you know, my niece and nephew that are 10 years old right now, 11, that's going to be their Star Wars. You know, people that are 40, they grew up with Star Wars and, you know, they've just been printing money off that IP. It's going to be the same thing with Marvel, you know, 20, 30 years from now. So there's a lot of good opportunity to get in and pick up some really collectible stuff, I feel. But that's what's referred to, like basically anything in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s is considered copper age. And then you have the gold and silver age that kind of go backwards in time. So going back into the 80s and like mid 70s is considered golden age, or I'm sorry, is considered silver age. And then you've got going back into the 40s and 30s, that's the golden age stuff that's like really, really rare. You know, you got a lot of like war themes, you know, because the United States was going through the world wars and things of that nature that you'll see back from that time period. They're really rare because, like those tobacco cards, they just weren't preserved. You know, they were red, they were well loved. People used them as fire kindling, you know, like it just brought down those numbers tremendously. You could pick them up for a nickel, you know, at the corner store, at the gas station or whatever. So they just weren't really thought of in that way. And so those that have survived and are still in good shape, you know, they're really valuable and collectible. So like you got some Spider-Man comics that came out in the 60s, you know, early 60s into, you know, the late 60s that are really, really valuable comic books. So, you know, whenever you hear anybody say Silver Age Spidey, all of the comic book people are like, ooh, let's see it, you know, if you're watching an auction. because they know there's about to be a pretty big book coming across. So
and it seems like every week a new record is broken of how much these comics are going for. And almost every week or almost every 2 weeks is a new record being broken. Every time a record gets broken, it's just everything else just follows up behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's crazy.
Yeah. So like one of the Grail books is Amazing Fantasy 15, first appearance of Spider-Man, and I think it most recently in like a high grade went for 4.2 million, if I'm not mistaken. So just we're talking big bucks, and like Albert said, there's a trickle down effect. So you know, if you have first appearance of the Green Goblin, which is like, you know, I think it's in the top 10 issues of Spider-Man. It's like 6 or 7, I think. It's, you know, it's not going to be 4.2, but it's still going to be a really valuable book. If you value Spider-Man #1 first appearance here, then it's got to fall, you know, somewhere in here. So there's all that stack ranking effect whenever one of those big books sets a new price high. When it comes to cards, you know, I think vintage, it's a weird thing because it's kind of like listening to music on the radio. You know, like we'll hear something from the early 90s now and they throw that on like the throwback oldie station and you're like, whoa, wait a second. Like that's from when I was, you know, 15, 20. What do you mean it's oldies now? But it's kind of the same thing with cards. Like they really kind of consider anything, I would say anything probably pre 2004, 2006, like in that era, probably before LeBron entered the league, is probably considered vintage at this point. But if you're going back into, you know, basketball cards and baseball cards from the 50s and 60s, I mean, those are kind of like, we refer to the old Mitchell and Ness runs as old gold. Like those would be considered like old gold, you know, like if you have a Mickey Mantle rookie tops, like that's a heavy hitter. You know what I mean? Like, and even Albert's Clementes, if you have that in a PSA 6 or 7, that's a huge card, you know, to be in that good a condition for a card that old. I saw a Hank Aaron rookie earlier today, a 55 Hank Aaron tops. I want to say it was a PSA 8, and they were asking, I think, like $300,000 for it or something like that. It's like big money, you know, when you get into those higher grades for older cards. But modern stuff, one of the things that I think really exemplifies the modern card era, other than patch autos, which we can talk about in a little bit, but this is an example of something that identifies or defines the modern era, in my opinion, and it's something called parallels. So what it is you have a base card. So this is like a regular card in the set that anybody can pull out of a pack. It's a common card, basically. And that would be an example of this card right here. So this is a 2019, I believe, Prism base Larry Johnson. So as Albert said, you know, they'll sometimes take classic players and put them on, you know, new card sets as kind of like a throwback look. But as you can see, they didn't just make that color in the Larry Johnson. They made about 30 or 40 different variations of the same picture. You know, some of them are short prints, some of them are individually numbered. You can see this one right here. It's numbered to 25 there. So, you know, that's to me one of the biggest keys. And if you look at the back, they're all numbered 15. So it's the same card, but they just use different effects, you know, to make certain versions of it more exclusive. And that's, I think, one of the things that's kind of flipped the card community on its head, because it's introduced exclusivity into the mix, which increases demand and limits supply. So that way, if you have something that's rare and a desired player and it's individually numbered, you know, you've got kind of a winning formula for a good investment on your hands, especially if the player ends up turning out to be, you know, pretty good. So,
and the version in the comic book version of that in the modern era is called the variant covers. So you have your regular cover. This is the cover that you can go to the comic book shop and get, right? This is what you can get at the comic book shop. Everybody, he has 50 of these. so when the comic book shop orders 10 copies of this, for every 10 copies, there's gonna be a variant issue, which is gonna have like a different cover. You know, it's gonna have different art on it. But the only way he got that comic book is because he ordered 10 of these. So it's called a 1 of 10. So for every 10 comic books, there's one variant of this. Then they have the 1 of 50. So it's for every 50 comic books that you order from this, there's another variant that has a different cover, which it makes more rare. So that's like almost like the parallel version of comic books. You know what I'm saying? So the comic book shop will order this comic book. So and they tell them every time you order 10, we'll give you a variant version, one variant version of this comic. If you order 50, we'll give you the more rare one for every 50 comic books you order. So everybody, that's like the game. You know, you have to get the variant because it's more rare, it's more exclusive. And then like comic book shops will have their own exclusive variant for their shop. They'll have an artist make a comic book for that whatever, and it's exclusive to them that you can only get it at their website. So there's a lot, like I said, there's different levels to this stuff, and there's different like type of collectors. Because I don't know a lot of people that's trying to collect. We call that him trying to collect the rainbow set. Like him right now, he's collecting the rainbow set. The hardest one is the 1 of 1, which is there's only one of them. And I don't care who it is, the 1 of 1 is always going to be the most expensive. There's only one card of that card. So he can't complete that set. M. Diddy can't complete that set without that 1 of 1. And if I have it, it's like, yo, my price is whatever I want it to be, because there's no way he could complete his set without my card that I have. So it kind of sets the market for that card if you have a 1 of 1 card, because it's tough, because you get that addiction of like they're all the same card, the same picture, but it just has a little glitter here, a little rainbow here, a little different color here, but you need to complete the set. You know what I'm saying? So it's that addiction too, man, as collectors.
Yeah.
I have a funny follow-up to that. So Albert mentioned the rainbow, and when I was kind of thinking in my mind, you know, who could I complete a rainbow on that wouldn't completely send me into bankruptcy? I was like, oh, I'm going to go with Larry Johnson. You know, he's a
like, who's collecting Larry Johnson?
Dude, I loved Larry Johnson growing up. It's a modern card. I'm like, I should be able to get the rainbow for that, right? Like, no problem. So I start going through, I'm picking them up, you know, by the handful, like, you know, they're coming free and easy. And then I get down to like maybe, you know, 7 to 10 cards left that I need to complete the rainbow, including the 1 of 1s like Albert mentioned. And I'm like, oh shit, like I wonder how I'm going to actually do this. Like I'm going to have to talk to people in the community and see if they can point me in the right direction of where the 1 of 1s might be. And so, but then I had this memory that popped into my mind, and I remembered this Larry Johnson collector that was on Instagram, and literally this dude's Instagram handle is like biggest LJ fan too, or something like that. I mean, this dude has an entire room in his house dedicated to Larry Johnson. Like, I shit you not. And I thought about it and I was like, fuck, I bet that guy has the rainbow. And so I frantically go to his Instagram page after I'd already bought like 40 Larry Johnson Prism cards. I go to his Instagram page, I look, and sure enough, there's a post from like 2.5 months earlier, and he's like, finally completed the rainbow.
Wow.
It's like all the Larry Johnson cards.
And he'll be the only one with the complete set, because he has the 1 of 1. So there's no way, unless he gives it up.
Dude, that's crazy.
No way he's letting go of it.
No, there's no way. Because nobody has that set but him.
Yeah. And,
did you?
But the guy was really nice. There's one card in here that he helped me get after I realized that there was nothing I could do to mess with him. But this is a card, I'm pretty sure. It's numbered to 20. And it's a PSA 9 bronze fast break. So there's only 20 of these, and I think there's only like 2 of them or 3 of them that are graded. And so he had an extra one of these, and he was like, "Hey, do you want one of these? I have an extra." I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll buy it from you."
That's dope.
So, you know, and
Larry
he's
Johnson
like,
collectors got to stick together, man.
yeah, man, you know, and he's pointed me in the direction of a couple other ones on eBay, you know, that he knew I didn't have. And I also got this one, which is autographed TSA 10, Feast Your Eyes on This. And I think it's Pop 1. So, suck it.
Pop 1 is meaning that there's only one graded in the system, and it's that card.
Oh, wow.
So,
That's
so
great.
yeah, I have a 1 of 1 too. Meh.
So, you know, you mentioned like about like the parallels, and then you talked about like the numbering, you know, like cards that are numbered. And then that one is autographed. I actually have a card that is autographed. I don't know what the value is. This was actually given to me by my fiance's father, who passed away. Rest in peace to him, you know. But he knew I was a Warriors fan, and he just handed me this because he was also a big card collector, and he gave me this card.
Very
I'm gonna
cool.
highlight my screen a little bit. Looks like the autograph may have like bled a little bit over time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if, you know, if that got like devalued or anything. But I mean, like, I wasn't like I said, you know, I don't collect cards. Like, when I was collecting cards, I never had them like cased or anything like this. But you know,
but to me that's a prime example of that card right there. It doesn't matter how valuable it is. It has a story behind it. You know what I'm saying? One, Klay Thompson, that's your guy. Two, there's a story behind it that somebody gave it to you and that person is not here anymore. So the value that you have for that card, like money wise, it doesn't matter. I think to you, it's probably a priceless card. Yeah. That's another thing about collecting. Sometimes, yeah, like what Ben Diddy said, who else is collecting Larry Johnson like him? You know what I'm saying? He thought like, all right, cool. But there's somebody out there that does the same thing. But the majority of people are not like, I want to complete a Larry Johnson. You know, like that's rare. Like people are more into like the now. Like I need Kobe, I need LeBron, I need Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm into Allen Iverson. My goal was to get every Iverson rookie card, which I have. That was my goal accomplished. I'm good. But to me, what you just showed is priceless. Like you shouldn't have. It doesn't matter what number. It could be a $10,000 card. But to me, the story behind it, what it means to you, the gift that was given to you, is to me is priceless. You know what I'm saying? That's another side of collecting. Some people are just in it for the money, for the flip, whatever. I do it because I just love this shit. I love cards. Right. I love the players. If I can have some kind of connection with Allen Iverson through having all his rookie cards, and that makes me happy, that makes me it makes me feel like a bigger Iverson fan, which I am. That was like, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't mean to get all the emotional side of it, but that's the other side of collecting, because this shit, like to that Larry Johnson said that M. Diddy has, it means something to him, because Larry Johnson, that's his guy. You know what I'm saying? He's not collecting that to flip it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's a quick flip. Boom. Yes, we have stuff in our collections that, in the future, this guy has value in it. But some other things have emotional value for me.
Yeah, there's a saying in the hobby that goes, collect what you love. So, you know, it kind of comes down to the same thing we talk about in jerseys as well, right? Like, it's no surprise that some of the guys that I have in my collection are the guys that I have the most jerseys of, LeBron excluded. But, you know, it's like when I look at the stuff that I have, it's, you know, Larry Johnson, Tom Brady, you know, like Deion Sanders, you know, Jim Brown. You know, these are guys that when I start to build my jersey collection out again, I go after. And to kind of talk a little bit about autographs that you brought up, Rez. So I agree with Albert. You know, I think that Klay Thompson for you is priceless, but there are levels of, you know, autographs and things like that. So that Larry Johnson that I showed that had the auto on it, it has what's called a sticker auto. And what they do there is they'll kind of like send out a sheet of stickers to the player, and then they'll sign them, and then they'll like use a bunch of different, or they'll sign a whole sheet of stickers. You can kind of see it. It has that kind of hologram look to it.
Yeah.
and there's a sticker there. So they'll just sign the whole sheet. So this auto actually looks pretty good. If you were to get Beckett or PSA to like grade the auto, it would need to be like smudge free and on the sticker. So if there's any portion of the autograph that like is signed off of the sticker, that would kind of be a downgrade, so to speak. But then you have also cards that are signed on card. So on card autos, you know, like this Glenn Rice, there's no sticker there. Like he actually held the card and signed it. You know, both of these cards, this Deion Sanders is on card, and there's also a piece of his jersey in there. So they call that a patch auto. So it has a jersey patch and an auto on card. And then the Jim Brown is also an on-card auto. So there's a little bit more value premium on card autos. So that Klay Thompson you have, while, you know, maybe the ink has gotten a little funky on it, it is on card, I believe, which is, you know, nice and makes it, probably more desirable than a sticker auto. So
yeah, because Klay Thompson physically touched that card. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's dope. I think that.
Yeah, right, and it also can vary product to product. You know, like there's a super high-end product that releases every year for each of the big sports called Flawless. The thing comes in a briefcase. It's like the old Jordan 17s. But you know, they're huge cards. Like to get one briefcase is like $12,000. You get 10 cards. It's nuts. But those are all on card. And some of the Zion autos in the product this year, like they had a little, yes, that's the Jerry Rice rookie. Definitely I mean, that could be a very valuable card in high grade. It's just because of the border and everything, it can be kind of tricky to get in high grade.
But it's meaningful because he got it from me, you know.
Yeah, didn't mean to cut you off, Mac, but yeah, no. I got this card from Albert. So
yeah,
Jerry Rice right here. Super vintage card.
Yep,
so it's pretty dope.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got one as well. This is my consultant. He helps me out with my investment picks. But yeah, man, that just a little bit about the autographs, and like if you're looking at rookie cards each year that come out, some of the biggest cards you can get for rookie cards are patch autos. And they'll include like a piece of the jersey of the player, and then their autograph. And there's levels to it. So you can have like just a piece of their regular jersey. So, you know, if it was like a LaMelo Ball and it's just a white square of his jersey, you know, that's really nice. It'll still fetch you a good amount of money. But if you have like some of them, they have like the logo man off of his jersey, and they'll put that in some of the high-end products. And if you pull that card, you're talking about like you could use that to buy a house type stuff. Like,
what? Yeah. No way. Are you serious?
There's only one logo man, so it'll be considered a one of one. So they took a piece of they took his jersey, it took the logo man from the back now, put it on a card. There's a one of one. That's it. That's out of that jersey. There's that piece of that logo man. That's it. There's a one of one, and that's a premium. Sometimes, you know, you'll get on jersey. Sometimes you get the jock tag, on card, which is incredible. As you know, as jersey heads, that's dope to see a jock tag. That's fucking awesome, you know.
Yeah.
Let me use this for an example too. By the way, this is like shout out to Blinking. He sent me this out. He knows I'm a big Roberto Clemente fan for my birthday. Like this little baby piece of that. See a little C right here? That's a piece of Roberto Clemente's jersey. Like this is a game used bat on here.
Yeah.
But to have a piece of Roberto Clemente's jersey that he wore on field, this thing is like this little. But knowing that he wore that to me, as a Clemente fan, that's huge. And plus his stuff is like Clemente's stuff is very sought after. So like for Blinking just to send me this just cause, like that's amazing, man. That's part of like also about the community and stuff like that. Like he didn't have to do that. He just knew I was a Clemente fan. He's like, yo, I got you. And he sent it to me. I was like, bro, I've been a Clemente fan. I never owned anything that was game worn from him because they're so expensive. And just to have that little piece of jersey, that's so meaningful for me. Like to have something that he actually wore That's the sports fan in me. You know what I'm saying? You take the value aside, that's a sports fan in me that I have a piece of Roberto Clemente's jersey in my house in 2022. You know, that's crazy.
So like the pieces, you call them the rookie patch or the patch of the jerseys that they wear.
Yeah, they call them patches in the sports car hobby. Yeah.
Okay, so then are those are of the actual jerseys that the players wore, or is it just like a generic jersey that they use?
So in the olden days of like the early
Game
2000s,
it was game.
Most of them were all game worn, game used jersey patches. But recently they've started to, and it's funny because I'm a jersey nerd. I can kind of spot certain things that just like, wait a second, like I'm such
They say
a
event worn. Sometimes they say event worn.
Yeah, event worn, or like sometimes they'll like at the draft they'll have like, you know, player number 10 or rookie on the back of the jersey or whatever, and they'll just like give them to the player to like put on for a second, and then they'll take it off and it'll be like event worn. And that means that they either wore it at like a signing or a volunteer event or even like just a photo walk. But as you move up the ranks and you get into like the higher end products, those are still game worn jersey pieces. So when you get to the logo mans, the one of ones, like those are the majority of those are going to be game worn.
And baseball just started putting holograms on the game worn stuff. Yep. If you look at if you go to the website and punch in whatever the hologram number is, it'll let you know what game it came from, like the date and what game that jersey piece came from, which is awesome because you can look up the thing and like, yo, this is the game that he hit his 100th home run, which will probably be more valuable, if that jersey has more meaning stat wise,
They are a throwback to ask the question on, if you could buy a house in California or a house in South Dakota. And I mean, if you hit the right player and the right patch type, like a logo man, like I think the logo man National Treasures Luka sold for around the same price as that Spider-Man. So like 4.2 million. So yeah. And I think, the Anthony Edwards one of one logo man flawless was pulled like 2 weekends ago, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if that doesn't go for $250,000 or not. Yeah, $250,000, 250,000. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
And another thing to point out, like established players, yeah, it's dope, but like somebody like he just said, what's his name? Davis.
Luka?
Oh. No, not Luka. We all know Luka's great. I can use Luka, but I don't want to use him as an example. I don't want to jinx him. But if Davis, right, that card right now, that one of one, you can get $250,000 because it's Anthony Davis. But if Anthony Davis just suddenly knee blows out, he becomes garbage. Nobody likes Davis anymore. Nobody wants to pick him up. That card is not going to be $250,000 because he's not a sought after player. You know what I'm saying? So sports, like modern sports, like MCU movies, drive the market. So while Luka's the hottest player now, knock on wood, if he's out for the season, next season, or he just gets injured, all his card value will just slightly go down. But that's when you start, that's where investors start buying. Because I'm going to use Joe Burrow as an example. Joe Burrow, when he got injured, he was out for the season. Yeah. People stopped collecting Joe Burrow, but smart people were like, wait up, Joe Burrow, he's still a great quarterback. All his stuff is low because he's out for the season. Nobody's really buying Joe Burrow stuff because nobody's thinking about Joe Burrow. He's not playing. So people started stacking up with Joe Burrow. This year, took him to the Super Bowl. All those cards that were low while he was out for the season are stupid high right now. So those people made a smart investment into that, but it's hit or miss. What if Joe Burrow came back? He wasn't the same person. He just sucked. So all that money he spent. So it's like it's a risk and reward. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to modern player, to me, investing into, I really don't invest into modern players. I'm more into like established players. Like Iverson is already established. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. His stock value is not gonna go up and down. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, Tom Brady. You can't go wrong with Tom Brady. You're good. Flexing,
That's crazy.
flexing.
No, that's cool, man. Like the whole, I could definitely see it. So, like for Joe Burrow, for instance, he was. I mean, he made it to the Super Bowl. The Bengals, but they lost. So, like, did the value? Is it gonna decline from here on out, or is it gonna just gonna continue going up? Like, how
in my opinion, since he's established, like, he's a Super Bowl quarterback to the team, he's still a hot player because he's still good. Now it's like the spec game. Like, what is he gonna do next year? He's only gonna get better. Luka haven't won a championship. He hasn't sniffed the NBA Finals, but they're considering Luka like to be one of the next great elite players after the LeBron and all the KD and all that stuff. Then there's Luka. He's the next generational player, and people are really putting all their chips into Luka. But you know what I'm saying? But he hasn't gone to the finals. He hasn't won a finals MVP. But yet the potential is there that we could see Joe Burrow do this again, have that run again. He's gonna be great regardless. You know what I'm saying? So, but if he starts getting hurt again, declining, football is tough, man. Because for every who's the greatest who's the best wide receiver right now? Like, we'll just throw your boy out there. What's his name? For the 49ers. Debo. Like, Debo, his cards are hot, but you don't want to put all your money into receivers, defensive backs, linebackers. Even though you can have the greatest linebacker right now playing, and his rookie cards are not really, because it's not a sexy position to collect. You know what I'm saying? And Diddy can stop me if I'm wrong, but the sexy position always going to be the quarterback. No matter what, quarterback is gold. They're the person out there, the face of the franchise. They're the ones with the ball the most, and it's a sexy position. I'm not going to collect Tony Baselli, offensive tackle, and put all my chips into the next greatest left tackle in NFL history. And it's just that's not going to move the market. That's not going to go high. I don't care how great the greatest tight end is in the NFL. His card is not going to be Tom Brady level. It's not going to be Joe Burrow's level. You know what I'm saying?
What about like the place kickers?
Oh yeah, definitely collect those guys because that's all in. But the thing that bothers me about the sport market, like a Kyle Murray rookie card goes for whatever. Like, you get a patch auto, goes for thousands of dollars, but a Joe Montana rookie card goes for like $500, $400. You know what I'm saying? If you get a Joe Montana rookie card right now, get it for like raw, you probably get it for like $150 or something like that. But a Kyle Murray jersey that just came out, not graded, autograph patch, is worth way more than Joe Montana. That's the only thing that bothers me about collecting the modern collector versus the vintage. Yes, you're gonna have those classic, baseball more, but with football it's kind of hard because you get a Walter Payton rookie card. Yes, a raw rocket. How much a raw Walter Payton rookie card goes for? Like, I don't know, less than $1. It's gotta be less than $1,000.
Yeah, I was guessing like 700 to 1,000.
$700 for one of the greatest running backs of all time. But next year, the first pick of the draft is a running back. His rookie card is gonna go for like $1,200 because it's a patch auto, and you're just by potential. You know what I'm saying? That's what boggles my mind. That's why I like to collect players that are established already, because collecting is a gamble when it comes to you're collecting to like these young guys. It's a gamble. That's why comic books, I don't have to worry about Miles Morales having a bad season, like tearing his ACL. I don't have to worry about Spider-Man breaking a leg. You know what I'm saying? Spider-Man is always going to be Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You just got to stack them until they bring him into the MCU and then cash the check.
Miles Morales, when he comes to the MCU,
for sure, it's going to change.
It's going to happen.
Mac, you were talking about your collection with your like Tom Brady, the cards that you have of him. I mean, like, obviously, him being retired and him with a successful career in the NFL. what are your thoughts about like Mac Jones? Like, have you started collecting Mac Jones like cards, or because I know you're like a huge, first and foremost, you're a huge Pats fan, but I mean Mac Jones was one of the top quarterbacks that was eyed that during that draft. I mean, have you started investing your chips in him, or are you not sold yet?
So, I mean, despite the fact that he has a really strong first name, I have not invested in Mac Jones yet because I'm not really looking, like Albert talked about a phenomenon that I think applies in this case, and that's that some of the nicer cards or nicer products in the modern market are so expensive because the actual cases and boxes that you have to buy to open to get these cards are so expensive that there's justification behind the higher prices of the newer cards. So for me to get a really nice Mac Jones patch auto rookie, say I want, this is one of my current favorite sets, both for basketball and football. It's a product called Immaculate, and it's on the higher end. And there's a Mac Jones patch auto that you could get out of this set. And you can see they're really nicely produced cards. They've got some nice colorful refractor foil accents, and the signatures are all in nice blue marker on the card. So I could get a Mac Jones auto numbered to 99, and I'd have a nice little, thing that I could tuck away. But there's 99 of them, and it would probably cost me $1,000 maybe to get the card. So when I weigh that out and I say I can get a Mac Jones patch auto, clearly a nice card, ungraded, raw, mind you, or I could spend $1,000 and get this Tom Brady card, like, what am I going to do? Like, to me, there's less risk here. There's less risk in picking up the Brady and stashing it and feeling like over time this is going to increase in value. Whereas, Mac Jones could go on and have a really nice career. Maybe that ends up being a $2,500 card, $5,000 card. It's hard to say. So I'm not really ready to make that plunge yet. Maybe over the summer when football cards cool off a little bit, if I can scoop it for, 600, 650, maybe I would pull the trigger on something like that. Then I feel like maybe my downside loss isn't so crazy, but that's part of the game. And Albert brought up another great point where, I think you look at different scenarios like that when you pose to me, and you can kind of come up once you kind of get into the markets and understand the pros and cons of investing in a certain player. Even Luka's market has actually come down quite a bit, and it's not like he's been playing poorly. He's an all-star. He's still playing great, but people are starting to kind of be like, okay, can you win a couple playoff series? Can you make a deeper run in the playoffs? Like, what's your legacy going to look like? Are the Mavs going to be able to get somebody in there to help you out? And then you've got guys like John Morant coming in, creating a lot of buzz that maybe takes some of the attention away from Luka. So they're kind of vying for that, like, who's going to be the next big guy. So there's a lot of speculation, a lot of potential for you to make a bad decision on who to invest in. And I think that comic books, like Albert says, when I look at investing in collectibles, I really view cards as, stock investing, where like Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, the GOATs, as they call them, are kind of like blue chip stocks. They're your Googles, your Apples, your McDonald's, like established companies that aren't really going to, kill you if you invest in them. Most likely you're going to make some money here and there. You may not make a killing, but you're probably going to be steady earner. And then everybody else, rookies and things like that, like you're taking a flyer, like some may look sexier than others. Like you may get Peloton during the pandemic and knock it out of the park, but if you hold it too long, all of a sudden you end up with, the quarterback that played for the Panthers this year, that came over from the Jets that played at USC. Yeah. Darnold, Sam Darnold. You end up with Sam Darnold, right? And that's not good. There were people that I watched on YouTube that were saying before the year, oh, he's with the Panthers. It's a fresh start. He's a good buy. Man, he was the same Sam Darnold he was in New York, and that it didn't work out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and then the comic book side, I look at that as more like those are like steady earners. You know, like there's not going to be a lot of volatility. If you get a blue chip character key in comics, it may go down a little bit here and there, but you know, if you get first appearance of Wolverine,
that's never
you probably all right. You know what I mean? Like that book's going to continue to go up, no matter what, over time. Because once he gets introduced into the MCU, there's going to be a whole new group of people that are introduced to Wolverine and fall in love with him as a character, and it's just going to continue to build the demand for that book in the future.
I should probably, I should probably try and start getting some of that stuff because Wolverine is like, he's definitely in my top 5 favorite and like Marvel characters.
But it's one of those things. Is
you
like,
and everybody else.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah,
he made his comic book debut, like his first full appearance. We don't want to get into that, but his first full appearance was like what, Hulk 181 or 180.
What up? Yeah.
Oh, Hulk 181. Yeah. Well.
Hulk 181 is. Yeah. You could like right now you could probably get a CGC like a 3 probably for like $3-4 grand. That's a graded 3. That's
wow.
Yeah.
But
and that's a great investment. You know,
it's Wolverine. Like at the end of the day, it's still Wolverine, and he still have the comic book. It's not like they mass produce millions of those comic books. You still have it. Some people say low grade is better than no grade. You know what I'm saying? That's like the whole saying. I'd rather have the comic book itself than not have it at all. So it's kind of cool. Like I looked into it, but I can't do. The thing is, I'm not a huge Wolverine guy. So if I was an investor, yes, I'll do it. But am I gonna find joy of having a Wolverine first? I'm not. He's dope. He's a dope character. But I like Miles Morales. I like Spawn. I like collect what you love. So you find more enjoyment when you collect. When you have something in your collection that you actually really love. So it's like a Hulk. I mean, like a Wolverine will be easy for me to let go once it hits its high point. Like he's making money. Like he's already ordering that Wolverine right now. Look.
Yeah, he's like, yo, can I get
he's
a
like,
copy
yeah,
of Hulk
CGC,
181?
yeah, I got you.
CGC 9.8. Thanks, man.
I got you. Next paycheck.
Yeah. No, and it's dude, you know, that I told a friend of mine probably about a year ago. I was like, hey man, like if you have $6,000 to $8,000 to invest in anything, I'm like buy the highest grade possible you can of Hulk 181. As it turns out, it actually dipped a little bit. The price is actually lower now, but dude, I still think that's a great investment. If you have some extra money laying around, like
he's such a popular comic book character.
Just order the comic. I'm good. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, cool.
What we were saying.
No, yeah. So, real quick, I don't mean to cut you guys off. I see a couple of guests that are in the queue. I'll let you guys hop on in just a moment. I kind of want to go over these topics that I have with my 2 co-hosts here, man. So if you guys are new, if you guys just tuned in, welcome. You know, this is a really great conversation we're having so far. Tonight's topic is comics and cards. As you could see, I have my 2 co-hosts with me here on screen. We got generic Miles Morales, and we got M. Diddy up here in the building, man. Really dropping some great knowledge. If you guys missed the live, no worries. You could always go back and watch the playback and catch up. But you know, we broke down a lot of stuff tonight about sports cards, comics, and now we're currently talking about comics and you know, the value and the different types of collecting as a comic book collector and a card collector. I want to focus a little bit on the comic stuff because, you know, we kind of touched the sports aspect of cards and, you know, stuff like that, which is great. But I feel like with the comic stuff, like this new age now of like the MCU and even like the DC universe has really kind of awoken like a beast, man. Because, you know, when I was a kid, a lot of people looked at comics like like for people who are just like nerds. Like I'm talking about like, you know, your typical dude in the comic book store, you know, who pretty much just comes in, you know, he's wearing like a trench coat and he just like buys like all these crazy comics. You know what I mean? And it's like one of those like stereotypes, but it's like it's become so big and so mainstream now where everybody is into it, seems like, you know, not just the loyalists, not just like the diehard people who've been around, you know, collecting it since the beginning, but like you have like generic fans now that are into it, which is totally fine. I think it's great because it definitely brings a lot more revenue to the, you know, the brand and the character. And you know, the whole thing with like comics and stuff, or I mean like the realm of comic characters and the cards. Like, I used to collect a lot of Spider-Man comics when I was a kid. I wanted to collect Spawn comics. I had to kind of hide my Spawn comics as I collected them because it was because of how dark and evil Spawn was. My parents were like, "No, like you're not collecting this." You know what I mean? So I remember like I'd have to convince my brother, you know, to go to the comic book shop and get, you know, like some Todd McFarlane Spawn comics and stuff, and I'd have to like sneak it in my backpack and put it in my binder and stuff like that. But like in terms of like the characters, like what roles does like these movies play with the value of like these comic book characters, both for both comics and the cards?
Well, like we call it the spec game. Like we have, I don't even know where to start because it's like a huge question. It's just so much. Some, to tell you the truth, some characters can break the value of a comic book. A prime example of that, where like the movie or the TV show kind of made the character kind of whack. And I think a prime example of that is Taskmaster. Taskmaster, before people knew that Taskmaster was going to be in the new Black Widow movie, right? The Black Widow movie. And the first appearance of Taskmaster was blowing up. Get it. Everybody must get a 9. Get the grade. It was the hottest comic book ever. The movie comes out and they completely destroyed that character. Changed the gender. Like he was badass, but completely changed the storyline. The movie kind of flopped. And Taskmaster comics just went back down to like reality. You know what I'm saying? So that's an example of a, like, not all characters in MCU is gonna blow it up. If you're a seller, they always say if you're a seller, when the trailer comes out, that's when you fucking sell, because that's when everybody's hyped up. Like just right now, like the new Doctor Strange trailer came out. There's so many Easter eggs in there that people are just going nuts right now. But you can spec, and when the movie come out and if the movie flops or the character flops, you're just stuck with a whole bunch of America Chavez comic books, which she's gonna be in the new Doctor Strange. And if the character blows up, Erica Chavez, she's gonna be a character in the new Doctor Strange movie. If she blows up and she becomes a popular character and she starts getting her own movies, like her first appearance or her comic books are just gonna keep growing and growing and growing. You know what I'm saying? Iron Man wasn't a popular character. Like before the movies, it's just fucking Iron Man. Nobody gave a crap about Iron Man. But what's the actor that plays Iron Man?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. took that role and ran with it, and he made people become Iron Man fans. You know what I'm saying? You can't picture anybody else playing Iron Man. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. But his character became so popular. The first appearance of Iron Man is freaking unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what we call spec right there. America, Young Avengers. They think of the Young Avengers movies are coming because it's kind of like if you put all this shit together, it looks like they're gonna make a Young Avengers movie soon. So a lot of people right now are investing into Young Avengers comic books, even though nobody said anything about the Young Avengers making a movie. But that's called spec. So like everything's making sense. You're putting 2 and 2 together. Like sooner or later, the Young Avengers are gonna unite and they're gonna have a movie out. So if you have that book now at the low, and when that movie comes out and blows up, you're in a great position. So yeah, go ahead, Diddy. Go ahead, man. I know you got something to say about this. It's so much you can talk about.
No, I love it, man.
No, man, I agree. I think that's one thing that drives demand. Like I know that I've made certain plays, within comics that I felt good about and still feel good about. Like I got some keys for first appearance of Shang-Chi and the first appearance of the Black Knight, because I feel like those are going to be really strong books in the future. I think that the actors have signed multi-movie deals with Marvel. So they're going to be leaders of the new school, so to speak, with the new team of Avengers that shows up. And I think that that's going to carry forward. We look at the first 10 years of Marvel and how closely connected the audience was with a lot of those characters: Iron Man, Black Widow, Hulk, Captain America, even Hawkeye. Everybody used to kind of shit on Hawkeye, but like he just had his own Disney Plus series and it was pretty damn good, right? So, and it's going to potentially build up Kate Bishop in the MCU as well. So, I think that those plays are still valuable. And at the end of the day, when you look at some of those first appearances for characters, Albert brought up a great point. Like, I hear sometimes from comic book collectors that have been in the game a long time, well, shit, I didn't give a fuck about, Shang-Chi back in, 1982. Like, why the hell should I care about him now? It's like, well, you don't have to, but he's going to be in a lot of Marvel movies and shows. Like, his popularity might increase a significant amount, and this new generation of people that are growing up watching these shows and movies, they might care about him a lot more than you did in 1985. And that's kind of the trick of everything, is trying to, kind of pinpoint the things that people are going to be drawn to in the future. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but a big example of that is Peacemaker. Who gave a crap about Peacemaker? John Cena took that character, and I never looked up Peacemaker on eBay, and I'm like, his first appearance is blowing up. It's crazy. He took a mediocre, nobody gives a F about Peacemaker, and John Cena made that character. That's what I'm saying. He's becoming popular. You know what I'm saying? He's becoming bigger than the Suicide Squad. Like, he made, like, come on now. Like, it's incredible how much Peacemaker stuff is blowing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, 2 years ago, I'm like, who's Peacemaker? Who cares? I'm like, who is this dude? He had a whack name, he has a silver helmet. Like, his character is whack, but John Cena is killing it. And now people want Peacemaker comic books. Like, I want everything that has to do with Peacemaker. I'm sorry to cut you off, Andy, but
you're good.
I wanted to flow what you were saying, because about characters that nobody's really thinking about, and who didn't care about them. I didn't know who Peacemaker was, but John Cena introduced me to Peacemaker.
Yeah, you do. There is some level of I don't want to say skill, but you do have to get an idea or try to kind of see if you can see what direction they may be going with a particular character or story, to try to kind of read the tea leaves, so to speak. So it's not as simple as just looking at the Marvel release schedule and saying, okay, this movie is coming out in a year and a half, like, I'm going to buy all these comics now. Because not every movie and show that comes out hits on the level that creates that kind of interest. A perfect example of that is the Eternals, and that was a book that was really hot about a year ago. And I personally don't think the movie was bad. I enjoyed it.
I liked the movie. It was good.
But did it kind of live up to some of the spec that was behind that book? We'll see. Or are we going to look at the Eternals, 2-3 years from now and look at it more as an introduction of the Black Knight and potentially Blade's first appearance than we are, the actual Eternals? So that sort of stuff remains to be seen, but it's just a good example of how, you can't exactly like look at the Marvel release calendar, buy that book and think that in 18 months you're going to be able to cash in for a big payday, because it's a little bit more complicated than that. But, you know, in the case of the Young Avengers, I think there are a lot of people out there that totally agree that because of the characters that they've introduced, you know, we have Kamala Khan about to have Miss Marvel. We've got, obviously, Kate Bishop, America Chavez. I think there's a lot of people that think that a certain member of the Young Avengers and Miles Morales probably isn't too far away from being introduced. And when he does that $3,000 book, it may not happen overnight, but it's going to probably be pretty valuable down the road. So that's it right there, the big boy. So
It's dope.
he was talking about me flexing earlier. That's a big flex right there.
That's a flex. That's a
That's
little
a
minor
flex.
flex.
That's a double flex.
So for like when it comes to the comics, like the cards, like for comic book characters,
yeah,
you know, you mentioned like with the sports, like they have different types, like they have parallels, numbers. For the comic book characters of realm, like in the realm, do they have like different like types? I remember you mentioned something a while back in a previous live. You were talking about sketches, Marvel sketch cards, and you know, you said that like most of these were like one of ones. So
yeah,
you own it. You know, you set the price. Like, do you own any of those? And what are like the types, the popular types of like comic book character cards today?
Yeah. So this is a topic that I'm like really excited to talk about, because I think that this is, when I talk about leading and lagging markets, yeah, I feel like the sports card market has kind of been a leading market because people realized there was money to be made, and they poured money into the sports card market. But it wasn't long after that, you know, maybe you would go to one of these big shows and there would be a table that would have Marvel cards. And anybody our age, you know, that basically is, you know, 35 to 45, probably has some memory of, you know, comic book cards or Marvel cards. When we were coming up, they made cards for everything. You know what I mean? Like any movie that came out, there was a card set for it. They weren't very flashy. They mostly just had pictures from the movie, but they made it for everything. So the fact that some of these Marvel cards that were everywhere, I mean, you could buy them at gas stations, convenience stores, you know, I don't know, hell, you're like second neighbor down the neighborhood might have had like a box that they sold out of their garage. I don't even know. They were everywhere. And it's really hard now for some of these hardcore comic book fans and Marvel card collector fans to realize that these junk wax era cards that they saw everywhere actually worth money. And a lot of that has to do with condition. So the grading stuff that we talked about, you can take a card that's a common and bring it up to a more enticing level of collectability by having a higher grade attached to it and some registration and authentication. So this is a good example of what I'm talking about. This is a card that came out in 1990, and this is kind of a flagship set for Marvel. It's called Marvel Universe 1990, and this is a Captain America version. But the thing that I want people to notice is the border around this card. You can see it's pretty even, but these cards, I bought a box of them last year. I opened all of them. And out of the entire box, I probably got, let's see, I maybe got 6 or 7 cards or so that are probably of any value. I got a couple of these Captain Americas that are pretty nicely centered that could get good grades. I've got this Venom card that's pretty nicely centered that I think could grade really well.
And by the way, these are considered like the rookie cards. Like this is the first time they were published on cards, so it's considered their rookie cards.
This was like in the 90s, you said?
I love that's my favorite card right there.
1990. This is a Stan Lee where you can see he's got a bunch of different, you know, characters kind of painted into him there. So this card in a high grade is a valuable card. Wolverine obviously is a big card. This is Patch Wolverine.
That's dope.
And then I got a Doctor Doom, and I got another Wolverine. You can see the centering on this one isn't quite as good, but it's a really cool card.
Right.
But the thing about it is, it's all about condition. And like these are hologram cards from that set.
Crazy.
And that's Atomic Spider-Man, I think. So the regular version of this in a high grade is a valuable card as well.
Yeah.
You got Magneto here, hologram. So the holograms are tough grades though, because they have that, the surface scratch is really easy on them, so they're difficult grades. But so these are cards that were everywhere back in the day, and now they're actually have some value because of grading. And when you break it down, there just aren't a lot of examples of graded Marvel cards in comparison to sports. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why collectors have kind of noticed that and come into it, because it's such a popular IP. Same reason the comics are valuable, same reason the cards are valuable. And this is another set that is really important in Marvel cards. This is 1992 Marvel Masterpiece.
Greatest.
And these were done as original artwork for the set by artists. And Marvel Masterpieces continues today. And this is a set that was done by an artist named Joe Jusko. He's still connected to the community, does great artwork. But this is like a very popular, well-known set. And if you get high grades in your Spider-Mans, your Wolverines, you can see on the back, that's a copy of Hulk. It's not 181, but it is 181. It's Hulk 181, first appearance of Wolverine on the back. So it kind of encapsulates, both cool artwork on the front by an original artist, and then also the history of the original first appearance on the back. And you can go through and like, this is the Spider-Man version from that same set. So original artwork by Joe Jusko. This is a valuable card in high grade. So, this is 93 Masterpiece. So the following year, it has foil on the bottom right here. Spider-Man, different artwork. So the Masterpiece set is one that has kind of grown with the Marvel card phenomenon, and I think there's still room for it, because the current sets are broken up into tiers, and each tier, as you go up, has a higher and higher level of rarity. So when you get up to tier 4 in the base set, there's only 100 of them, only 99 of them made. So it makes the card very rare. I think tier 3s are like numbered to, I could be getting these numbers wrong, but like 1,000. But they're more limited as you kind of go up the ranks. And then there's what if parallels that have like comic book typeface and like bubbles on them and stuff like that, and those are more rare. And then another thing that Rez mentioned is sketch cards, and this is an area that hasn't really blown up yet, except within the Marvel card community. And these are one of ones. So if there's an artist that Upper Deck, who owns a lot of the licensing for card production for Marvel products, if Upper Deck goes to an artist and they say, hey, we're coming out with Marvel Masterpieces 2020. We'd like you to do some drawings for that set. How many would you like to do? The artist is like, well, I could do X amount. They'll say, okay. They'll submit them in for approval. And if Upper Deck approves them, they put them into the packs and the boxes, and you can randomly pull them. So I really had a good time with Masterpiece 2020. And as I was going through, I found a couple of artists that I really enjoyed the artwork that they did. And so there was one in particular, an artist out of London. His name's Andrew Fernandez, and he's not, I don't think so. I'm trying to make him famous, but I don't know if he is famous. But his cards aren't super expensive. Like some sketch cards, if you if you open one, there's like an anime artist, and her cards go for like $300 to $500, sometimes as much as $1,000 if you pull one of her sketch cards. Andrew's work doesn't go for that much, but I enjoy it. I think it's really cool. So he created 60 cards, sketch cards for Marvel Masterpiece, all one of ones. And, you know, I decided to go really hard and collect as many as I could. This is an example of one of the cards that he did. This is Superior Spider-Man. And I just really like the colors he uses. They're really vibrant. His line work is really cool. And then if you look on the back, it's signed by him,
Oh, wow.
Andrew Fernandez, 2020. And you can see right there, it's a 1-of-1. So this is the only sketch like this of Superior Spider-Man that he made for that set. And, you know, here's a Venom, you know, same set, same style. This is a character that is specking pretty hard right now. King of the Symbiotes, Null.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know about him, read up. You can still get his comics cheap too. We got Luke Cage here, which is cool.
That's dope.
Daredevil, a really cool Daredevil sketch. We got Ant-Man, you know, doing his shrinking thing. Captain America with Mjolnir. Oh shoot, there we go. And then this is one of my favorites right here, the Hulkbuster Armor. Like, look at the work on that. My man killed it on this one.
That's dope.
So Black Panther, you know, doing the Wakanda salute. He's got him in the cowl. So just, I actually ended up collecting 32 of Andrew Fernandez's 60 sketches, which not easy to do.
More than half.
Yeah.
That's
So
dedication.
It was quite an event to try to get that many. His Doctor Strange is crazy too. Look at that.
That's fire.
Really cool. Hulk, you know. So
That's dope.
I got a lot of cool stuff. I got to show you these, Rez, because this is your guy. You told me he's one of your guys, so I got a little Wolverine action.
That's fire.
Right there with the traditional X-Men suit. So, yeah, man, these sketch cards are cool. You know, 1-of-1s, you can decide to collect a particular artist or a character. There's people out there that just collect, you know, certain characters. The ladies are very popular, like, you know, we're comic book people, stereotypical comic book nerds. They like pretty ladies. So, you know, the ladies are very popular. They tend to go for a nice premium. And
Right.
these are just a few other examples. This is a different artist. His name's Robert Chapman. He kind of has like an old school, you know, like comic book style, you know, from like Silver Age that he does, which is pretty cool. Like the cool Iron Man right there. And then this dude is Chris Foreman, who's done some commissions for me as well. You got Black Suit Spider-Man, another black suit. And this is Andrew Fernandez Deadpool right here as well.
Did he sign all of those, the sketch ones?
Yeah, man. They're all signed by the artist, all 1-of-1. So, you know, if you look on the back, sorry, that's the COM-C stuff. So it doesn't really show you there. But, yeah, like on the back of all the sketch cards, it has the autograph and 1-of-1 of the artist. So really cool. And then the other thing that's cool about the community is you can get to know the artist. Like I actually know that guy, Andrew Fernandez, and like I message him and he's like, wow, I can't believe you collected so many of my cards. That's so cool. And you can ask them to draw certain characters for you. Like right now I'm having him do a panel sketch for me. I could show you kind of a rough draft of it. But he's working on a panel sketch for me right now, kind of under the theme of Infinity War and the Snap. So, yeah, let me see if you guys can. I don't know if it'll pick it up with the light. It might be kind of tough. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's dope. That's a commission?
Yeah, this is a commission. It's going to have like all the heroes on the front, and then Thanos is going to be on the back, surrounded by a bunch of heroes too. So it's going to be crazy wild when it's done. But it's cool, and you can also ask them to do, you know, other things. Like I had this Tom Brady sketch card done. You know, the detail on it's pretty crazy, really well done. And then this is a Miles Morales that almost looks like a damn picture. That's
the one you gonna mail out to me?
Yeah, yeah. This is a guy, Gary Kazil, did these for me, and I contacted him, and he hooked it up for me. I told him what I wanted, and he made me a Miles Morales and Tom Brady. And he's working on a Jordan for me right now, and I think another Tom Brady, because originally I told him I wanted Patriots, but he gave me $1, so which I'll take. But I want the Brady in the Patriots uniform, and these are some other ones that this dude Chris Foreman did. That's a Deadpool, really cool commission, Black Panther, and then Spider-Man. And then a cool Iron Man too. So, yeah, man, I highly encourage people to check out the Marvel part of cards. If you like the movies, if you like the comics, it's a cool space. It's a good collector's community. And I think there's still a lot of opportunity, especially in Masterpiece. You know, if they release a Masterpiece 2022, it's the 40th anniversary of Marvel Masterpiece. Wait, is that right? Or 30th. I'm bugging. My brain shuts off math-wise after like 5 o'clock.
It's
but there's a lot of opportunity out there. And one more thing I wanted to share with you guys, just to kind of illustrate this point that this stuff is coming. There are these cards that Skybox produced, you know, in the 90s. They produced a lot of really cool sets that were kind of interwoven into larger sets. So one of them is called Jambalaya. It's kind of a oval die cut shaped card, and it's got like crazy kind of refractor background that's like green, white, and red. So they did that. They did these things called precious metal gems, which have like a foil coating on them that kind of shine. And those are ones that have really taken off recently. So because Upper Deck handles a lot of the Marvel cards, they must have bought Skybox at some point. And so they have a lot of the people that worked on design with Skybox or Fleer Ultra or Fleer working for them now. And they've started to incorporate the Marvel IP into some of these iconic card designs that are from the past from sports. And these precious metal gem Marvel cards are really blowing up at the moment. And this is an example of a Spider-Man in a BGS 9. And this card would be numbered, I believe, to 50. It says there at the bottom. And you can see the price that it sold for is $132,000.
Oh my gosh!
In a BGS 9.
That's
so
crazy.
That's numbered out of 50. Spider-Man Precious Metal Gem Blue. Wow. And then we have a complete blue graded set from 2017. Like you could literally go on to Upper Deck ePacks and buy these cards like a year and a half ago. Like you could have bought the packs to get these cards. The graded set just sold. These are all numbered to 49, and it's a set of 50. These sold 2 weeks ago. It's almost 2 weeks ago for $168,000 for the 50 card set.
That's nuts.
And then these are the reds numbered to 99 in the same set, and these sold for $120,000 on the 6th of February. So you can see you got, you know, Spider-Gwen, you got Deadpool in there, Venom, Captain America, Spider-Man, Black Widow, Hulk, Iron Man. So this set right now is really popping off, and any opportunities to get precious metals in the future, I think are going to be a good opportunity. So they just released an X-Men set that just sold out this past weekend. You can still get physical boxes, but they're going to cost you a pretty penny. And you can buy the cards themselves individually. So, you know, if you're looking for big characters like, you know, Wolverine, Deadpool are the two biggies in that set. But even if there's an X-Men character that you believe in and you think is going to do really well in a future MCU project, you know, it might be a nice play. And then there's also a Spider-Man set coming out. It's slated to release, I think, sometime next month. So late March, early April. So I would be on the set for that. It's going to be called Spider-Man Metal. They will have PMGs in there from every Spider-Man character. So Albert, maybe tuck a little something on the side, you know, to pick up that Miles Morales version, maybe a Spider-Gwen. And I would definitely hit that because usually when those cards are first pulled, when the product is out, the availability is high. Those cards haven't found their way into people's collections yet to kind of be vaulted. That's usually the best time to buy. So just wanted to kind of give everybody a heads up that if you're into that sort of thing, you like the MCU, you like Marvel, you like comics, and you like cards, it's a cool way to be involved in the hobby and, you know, maybe get some nice investments out of it too.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that's a lot of information, great information for anybody who's looking to get into it. You know, I'm personally, for me, I'm quite scared, to be honest. Not so much because of you know, like I'm just afraid of how much I'm going to end up spending if I do get into this hobby. You know what I mean? It's definitely something that I'm intrigued with, and you know, it's something I may explore in the near future. So I do want to open the floor for people who have any questions, because I know the live chat has been pretty live, you know, in these last almost 2 hours here. But I do want to open the floor. I just entered in the link in the chat. So if you guys want to hop on, if you guys have any questions that you guys want to ask these two experts here, or even myself, you know, now is the time to do so. I do have another guest here that is in the queue. I'm going to let him hop on. And he's also a fellow card collector. So Big John, he's ready. Thank you, man, for being patient. I know you were in the live for almost an hour, but, you know, I do appreciate you hopping on, man, and being patient with me and the rest of us here, man. But, you know, I know you're a huge card guy yourself, man. I know you collect a lot of wrestling cards. So, you know, man, if you have any stuff you want to share or any insight you want to add, you know, please.
This is how I felt. I'm like, come on.
There you go. Cool, Joe.
Man, I got a good bunch of cards, man. Rez, remember I showed you this one? My PE coach from middle school?
Yeah.
Someone actually shared this card earlier, like a couple years ago, you know, when the Niners were in the Super Bowl. You know, our little county actually posted about Jim Miller, and, you know, so cool. Yeah. The fact he added number 3 in the Super Bowl as well. Yeah. But real cool, dude. Remember I told you about that story about how in middle school he used to paddle people?
Yeah. That's super old school, man. You know.
Now let me tell you about that, okay? So, you know how usually you'd cry when you get a paddling? Well, whenever Jim Miller would paddle somebody,
I never got a paddling, by the way.
You know what he used
You're lucky.
You know what he used to tell kids that he liked? He would say, I like you, I'm going to give you a little tap. A little tap my behind. You know what would happen after he paddled you? Those kids couldn't sit down for it took them a while just to sit down, man.
I bet.
Like crazy, dude. You know what they would say after getting a paddling? They would say, we got paddled by a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it.
I mean, think about it, man.
I will never look at it that way. I don't care if Miles Morales is paddling me.
You know, it's interesting because I know Big John, you know, he's a huge wrestling fan, and he collects wrestling cards too. You know, I myself, when I was younger, like in my high school days, and even middle school, I used to collect a lot of Pokemon cards. Unfortunately, I don't have any of them anymore. I really wish I kept.
That blew up.
Yeah, and I really wish that I kept like a lot of my cards, because I had a lot of you know, rare first edition, first gen Pokemon cards. Like I had the Charizard, which I pulled at my local liquor store out here. I had like the Charizard, the Blastoise.
Yo, who could say they pulled a Charizard from their local liquor store? Come on, man, that was pretty gangster, man.
So funny story about that. Like I remember like the dude at the dude at my liquor store, he would have like a box of Pokemon cards just right there at the counter. And of course, like that was like the only thing I could buy. I couldn't buy cigarettes or alcohol at the time,
Yeah,
but,
first of all, like what are you doing at a liquor store as a child?
So he had because like the Pokemon cards were sold out everywhere, right? But this dude, like nobody expected him to have Pokemon cards, but he had them because he knew he could sell them. So he had like a box. I was like, yo, let's go to the local Stop and Save. Dude has a box of cards. And I remember like me and my buddies, we were buying the booster packs and we were opening them. We're like, damn, we didn't get it. Damn, I already have this. Damn, I want the Charizard. And I remember there was like maybe like 4 packs left. That's fire in the box. And I remember somebody bought two of the 4 packs. So I was like, damn, there's only 2 left. And I ended up buying the last 2, right? And when I opened them, the last pack was a Charizard. And my eyes like lit up so freaking much because, that was like the hottest card like in Pokemon at the time.
It's the hottest card now. Shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was crazy. Like I couldn't believe it, bro. Like my heart just stopped for a second because I was in awe. But the dude was like smiling. He was laughing. I wish somebody was there to like take a picture of that moment. But I got the card. I don't even remember what I did with it, to be quite honest with you.
I was gonna say, what happened to it?
I don't know. Like I can't even recall. I probably got rid of it. Probably got stolen. I can't remember.
Oof.
But it was one of those moments, man. As a collector, I was just genuinely in love with the game, And one particular card game that I also really got into shortly after Pokemon was Yu-Gi-Oh. So as you can see, rocking my Yu-Gi-Oh my hoodie tonight. I thought it'd be fitting because it was part of the whole collectible card game type of thing.
My nephew is addicted to Yu-Gi-Oh.
It was really addicting. Like it's crazy because like I play the mobile game, and so like I'm old school. Like when I played Yu-Gi-Oh, it was pretty straightforward. Now like you have so many different like levels and summoning and things like that. I'm like, like I don't even know what the hell's going on anymore. Like it's like one of those things where it just like got too technical. But I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering. I used to play a lot of Digimon, like all those card games, and I got into them. And I actually was looking for this card on this monster right here on my chest. I was looking for the graded set because for those of you who don't know, this monster right here, they call them the monsters, but it's pretty much his name is Exodia. And basically the whole premise of this card is that if you draw all 5 pieces of this card, you win the game. Like no matter what. Like there's no ifs, ands, buts. You just win the game. And so I used to have this. Like I used to have the card. I still have the card, but they remade the card again. So it kind of like lost its value a little bit. But I was actually on eBay and I was like curious. I was like, how much does this cost graded? And I was like looking at it, and I mean, somebody's selling one. I guess it's graded 9 and 10 PSA. Here, let me enlarge my screen. But somebody's selling the set. I know. I was like, I would have never expected these cards to be worth what these are going for now. So there's the head, and then they sell his left arm, his right arm, his left leg, and his right leg. And this dude has
break it down in pieces. Jeez.
Yeah. So this card was like really unique because like basically the game you start off, you draw 5 cards. So for any reason you go, whether it's your turn or your opponent's turn, if you draw 5 cards and they're just the 5 pieces, you automatically win the game. Like done. And there's like different decks that you can make, but this is just dope to have. Like I would love to just have this because he was like one of my favorite favorite
Okay.
monster.
And that's the fun part of collecting, man, because that just takes you somewhere. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's dope. That's fucking dope.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to add one quick piece to that auction that you showed. Those slabs that you showed for the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, it's a company called SGC, and that's kind of the third of the big three grading companies, and they're often used for Pokemon gaming cards because they have a just a black and white label that people call it tuxedo time because it's black and white.
Right.
But it's a reputable company. Oftentimes people think they grade a little bit harder than PSA sometimes, to be honest. But though a lot of times people use them for Marvel cards as well because they have really good turnaround times. They're pretty affordable and they do a good job grading. So it's a nice kind of entry level, I guess, grading option for people that are getting into the hobby. And it's a nice versatile slab. You can have that black and white slab and it looks really cool with a lot of different types of cards. And if you have anything that has original artwork on it, it just kind of frames it nicely and displays and really gives an opportunity for that original artwork to shine. So you see those a lot in Marvel cards as well as Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon.
That's dope. Yeah, like that's all news to me because like when you guys were talking about it, I decided I was like, I'm gonna go look this up. I want to see how much this is worth because like I used to have all these cards back in the day, and the thing is like with like Pokemon cards, and I don't know if Marvel cards or even like DC cards have this, but like with like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And even like Digimon cards and stuff, they have what they call first edition, which is basically like pretty much like the first print of that card. And it was like a limited run. So for example, I actually have an example to show you guys. So this particular card that I have right here is the monster is called Darkblade. And I've had these cards since high school. I was like super obsessed with this card. There's nothing special about this card. Like he's not like really powerful or anything, but basically there's like different variations to it. So as you can see, this one right here, if you look closely where my index finger is, it says first edition. So, and it has like a brief description about the monster and stuff. But if you look at that adds like that holds more like a significant value in pricing in terms to another Darkblade card that doesn't have the first edition stamp or print, whatever you want to put it as. And then of course they released it later on, where it basically doesn't have like the silver print, as you can see right there, like the finish. And
yeah,
this is
that's like a prime example of like what M. Diddy was doing with the Larry Johnsons. It's like the same card with different variations.
Right. And then like, I don't know if you could tell, but like this little hologram here on the first edition, it's kind of got like a gold finish, and then on the other ones they're like silver. So there's definitely like a difference right there. It doesn't affect the card like in terms of what it does in the game. It's still the same exact thing. It's just like that rarity, like that collectible aspect of it makes it like more desirable, if you will. And then of course, like I have the Japanese version because Yu-Gi-Oh was originally in Japan, so it started there first, but this is the Japanese version of the card, and then this is the North America version of the card. So there's just like so many different things. So I totally understand what you were saying, Mac, when you were talking about like like the prisms and stuff like that. Like for Yu-Gi-Oh they have what they call like prismatic, which is like a holographic version. It's kind of got this like weird type of sparkle with it. And then you have like, of course, like they have what they call secret rares, super rares, ultra rares. There's so many tiers to it, so I totally get where you're coming from. But it's just crazy, man, because it's like so many different ways of collecting and lanes and how to do it. And Big John, man, he's just been showing his entire card collection to us this whole time.
Well, it's like I kind of equate it to almost like hip hop too, right? Like if somebody does something and it's successful, you may have other types of artists that will kind of bite off of that. You know what I mean? And like,
That's fire.
I think that the people that produce cards, that's really, really cool. I think the people that produce cards, they see that, right? So, you know, you have a company like Skybox Upper Deck that sees what has worked for Yu-Gi-Oh cards or Pokemon cards, and they take that and they apply it to modern day Marvel cards or sports cards to kind of create that collectability and rarity, right? And it just carries over. So that's a real thing, you know, that I think, you know, card production companies are doing. And I think the future is really interesting too, because there's been some big news over the last couple months or so where, you know, there have been some licenses that have traded hands and different companies that are going to be involved in the production. And it could lead to kind of you know how when Marvel, after they filed for bankruptcy, they took a big swing and made Iron Man, hoping that this would all work out. And then as things started to become more successful, they had lost these certain properties and IPs when they were about to go into bankruptcy that they had to, you know, they really wanted to incorporate them back into the MCU, like the Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man. And now they've been able to kind of reacquire those licenses. And, you know, the people like us that love the characters and the universe they've created, we're like happier than pigs in crap, right? Because we get to see all the things that we've always wanted to see. And I think that this could happen for card collectors too, where we get to see all of these different brands that we've really grown to love that have produced like great rookie cards, and they could all potentially be on the table again. You know, maybe we could see Topps Chrome again. You know, maybe we can see precious metal gems or PMGs or, you know, different types of, you know, Fleer cards that we grew up with come back into the fold. And, you know, what Fanatics is doing, I think, you know, could put some of that on the table. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years as the licenses transition over.
For sure. Do you guys think that the like the card and even the comic game, do you guys think that it's gonna go down, like in terms of like the hype and like the want factor of it, or do you think it's only gonna just keep going up?
I think like the Jersey game, when all the hype was in the 2000s and the hip hop and Jersey was a trendy thing where everybody was rocking it. Everybody was buying it. Mitchell and Ness was at its peak. And then we have us Jersey heads, that it was never a fashion trend for us. It was something that we love and have passion for it. Some people made business out of it, and we love it. We're still doing it to this day. I think it weeds out the people that are really into it, and the people are just in it for the quick flip or just a phase in their life. So like with everything, like jerseys are always going to be a passion for all four of us. But a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I got a bunch of jerseys I used to buy back in 2003. I still got them in the closet somewhere. And it was just a fashion trend to them. For us, that's something that we love. I think no matter what we collect, there's the people that really have a passion for it and love it for what it is. And it just never dies for them. But as far as like the hype, I think it's, as long as they're still making MCU movies, it's great to see the comic community always, like, it's always news. There's always something popping. Sports is not going to end. Sports is forever. You know what I'm saying? So as long as there's active sports going on, there's going to be active collectors collecting that sport. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's why
that's true. Yeah.
I would agree. I mean, I think, you know, sports cards were hot when I was 10 years old. They've had different periods of, you know, being hot and not hot in that time since then. But I've had periods where I've come and gone out of the hobby. And unfortunately, my timing has always been shit, you know, like I left before 96 when Kobe came into the league. I started buying them again in 2000 when Steve Francis was a rookie, and then I left before LeBron came into the league.
Oh, man.
I started buying them in 2014 I left before Luca came into the league, so I'm done with that shit. I'm in for the long haul now. So the next guy that comes around, I'm gonna be able to get his good stuff. And then with Marvel cards, man, I really think that we've only kind of seen the beginning stages of what's going to be for that side of the hobby. I think you're going to see them elevate to maybe not the level of the comics and sports cards, but I think it's going to be a significant sub genre within that collectible community. We're already seeing those really high figures for those PMG sales that I showed you that just happened within the last month. And I think that options like that in the future will continue to set new highs. There's already talks within the community that a similar set like that, they could see going for $500,000, you know, in the next 2 or 3 years. So I think there's still a lot of room. There's still a lot of people that haven't been really turned on to Marvel Masterpiece. And I can tell you right now, if they do, 30th anniversary with Joe Dusko, and he does like a really dope Miles Morales, and they put him in tier 4, or like another big character, you know, that's going to be a sought after big money card, you know, numbered to 100 or numbered to 50 if it's the what if, and then other different like parallels and stuff. I mean, those could be big collectible cards down the line. So I think it's positive. You're going to see ebbs and flows. We were just talking when you took the phone call about Hulk 181, Giant Size X-Men 1, which is the first appearance of the new X-Men team with Wolverine and Storm and Cyclops. That, recently took a dip as well. But I think that's a blue chip key that's going to continue to be collectible. And the amount of those that are out there in the wild and high grade still aren't very high. And that's not going to change. They're not going to make any more of them. As time goes by and more of those get locked away and become less available for consumption, the more the values are going to go up. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, that's a great assessment.
I love that book. That's a big buy. Anybody else that's looking to get a comic book, first appearance of Black Panther, Fantastic Four, that is a buy. It's a strong buy.
How much is that worth, Throwback King? Gold mine. It's gotta be gold mine.
No, I got a great deal for it, but I like once again, like when nobody's talking about Black Panther now. At the time when I bought that, everybody was talking about Spider-Man and everybody was talking about all the other movies that were coming out. But we all know another Panther movie is coming. It's guaranteed. And since nobody's talking about it, everybody forgets about it until, it starts coming up again. That book is just gradually, keep blowing up. Because there's no other first appearance of Black Panther. That's it. That's the comic book. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like there's a parallel. There's not a variant. That's it. That's the only Black Panther first appearance of Black Panther. So this is one of those things. Like right now, I like Black Panther. I think he's dope. And I feel like they shouldn't kill off the T'Challa. I think there's like a whole movement that I think a lot of people don't know. There's a lot of actors that they say, or a lot of people. There's a movement that says don't kill off T'Challa. Like, why are you killing off a character? Because rest in peace, Chadwick. Like, he died doesn't mean that Black Panther should die. You know what I'm saying? It's great that he played the role, but Superman died in real life. The actor that played Superman, they didn't kill off the character because he died. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. I honestly believe, I still think there's a lot of spec. I feel like they shouldn't kill off T'Challa. He's saying T'Challa.
T'Challa.
There you go.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why are they killing off Black Panther? Because the actor that played Black Panther died. Like, Black Panther always been Black Panther. Like, I understand he played a role, he did a phenomenal job, but you don't kill off a character because the person died in real life. That just doesn't make sense to me. So, but the thing is, there's so much spec that we don't know what they're gonna do with his character. People are just guessing. You know, they're saying that Shuri's gonna Shuri, whatever, is gonna play Black Panther, or they're gonna make Killmonger is gonna be Black Panther. So that's the whole fun part about the MCU and comic books. All we could do is guess what they're gonna do. But for me, in my opinion, I don't think they should kill off Black Panther because the actor died in real life. I think that's kind of whack.
Right. We're getting a variant Black Panther.
Based on the new trailer is very possible, but
possible, man. Yeah.
But just for some context on that book that Albert just showed, that's from 1966 is when that book was made and first available. So think about that. Like, that book is older than Woodstock. Like, it's
older than me.
It's an old collectible, right?
For sure.
And like, there aren't a lot of those in good shape. And just so you know, like in mid to high grade, that's, you know, over a $4,000 book, you know, but it's still affordable by as far as like blue chip keys are concerned. I mean, if you look at, you know, Hulk 181, that's like when I was telling the first appearance of Wolverine, I was telling my buddy, dude, a high copy of that is stupid money.
You're kidding me, right?
47. Yeah.
Good.
And what grade is that? What grade is it?
It's not even graded, I don't think.
Oh, that's raw. Okay.
That's crazy. Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's that might be a little. They might be reaching a little there, but yeah, it's a character that still has a big future. Now, the only potential risk I could see there is, you know, how is that transition from Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa to whatever the new T'Challa is, or the new Black Panther, or whoever takes the mantle over? How is that transition handled? And it becomes a situation of like, do you trust Marvel and the stories that they've told? They haven't really messed up a lot. You know what I mean?
Not
like
really.
The track record is pretty strong. So I would say that they're not going to do much to harm the legacy of the Black Panther character, and that book will still be a pretty valuable key and probably increase in value, you know, over time.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole spec with people saying Michael B. Jordan Michael B. Jordan say he doesn't want to touch that character because he has respect for Chadwick Boseman. But that's the thing that is like, once again, we're putting too much into the, like, as true like Panther fans, they don't want to see T'Challa. Well, I was just saying T'Challa. They don't want to see that character die because the actor died. That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna kill off, if Robert Downey Jr. Not gonna kill off. Like I said, no more Iron Man. We're not gonna make any more Iron Man movies. Like, why? Like, I understand that's the face that, but you're not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the, like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Show must go on.
To me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with you 110%. And I think, fortunately for these comic book films, you have like multiverses. So you have different people playing the same concept of the character.
That could be the scapegoat for everybody, for everything.
Yeah.
The multiverse.
This Doctor Strange movie is about to be crazy.
I know, man.
Yeah, I saw that trailer, and yo, like, I think that was Professor X. I'm assuming, right? Like,
hell yeah, that voice, that was Professor X, like a motherfucker.
Man, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy because like one of my favorite characters too, that I like this character, and I'm pretty sure that like the MCU will touch this at some point. But you know, Galactus, like, he's one of those characters.
He's coming.
He's coming, and you know, it's like one of those characters that I love. Like,
because if he comes, we're all dead. I'm sorry.
It's just really cool because, like, you know how you have like with the Eternals, you know, they had I'm drawing a brain fart. The Celestial, I forgot his name, but you have
they can do them.
Yeah, like that realm, like exploring like outer, you know, different universes. Like, I love that. Like, that's what fascinates me about
that's the part about Specky, because Fantastic Four is coming, and if Fantastic Four comes and Silver Surfer comes, if you have Silver Surfer, you have to have Galactus. It just all comes together. You can't have Fantastic Four. You can't have Silver Surfer without Galactus.
Nah.
So he's gonna come. But the thing is, that's gonna be like years down the road. Like this thing is gonna be a 10-year process with all this new universe and how it's gonna land. That's the reason I was kind of pissed off, because I felt like they America Chavez. A lot of people don't know but she's gonna be in the Doctor Strange movie. A lot of people were like, yo, why is she so young? Because in the comic books, she's probably like in her 20s and mid-20s, whatever. She's like a woman, but she looks like a little girl in this movie. But like what Mac is saying, like Marvel know what they're doing. I think they make her young so she could grow into the character, since she played this character for years. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants an old America Chavez. So you're basically having these young people play these roles because they're gonna grow into. But my prediction is, I think Champion. If you don't know Champion is Miles Morales, America Chavez, Nova, and Ms. Marvel. Which Ms. Marvel's coming out, Nova's coming out, and America Chavez is already coming out. All you need is Miles Morales, and there you go. That's the Champion group. Champion is like an Avengers group. So I think that's my prediction. Champions has gotta come if Miles Morales gets introduced, because they have all the characters for Champions.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, Hugh Jackman. I'm one of those people, man. If he shows,
there's no way he's gonna play. There's no way he's gonna play.
Bro.
I'm gonna lose my shit. Like,
I don't know.
They're not gonna put Hugh Jackman is getting older. One, there will have to be a new Wolverine.
Oh man, Logan.
But they're looking at the big picture. They're just gonna tease you with the mutants. They're gonna have somebody committed to play Wolverine for years down the road. So
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's gonna be in
tease
multiple
me.
projects,
Please,
but if he's in that movie even for just a minute,
that Hawk
like,
181, that's
go
gonna be $1 million, bro.
Yeah. When spoiler alert, I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, but the new Spidey film, when I saw Tobey Maguire and
if you haven't seen Spider-Man, like, you're not a Spider-Man fan. Like,
Exactly.
It's been how long since that movie came? Every time somebody says, well, spoiler, I want to spoil. Like, bro, if you have to say if you haven't seen Spider-Man, you don't like Spider-Man.
They also didn't stay for the post-credit scene either. So
yeah, like that, I lost my shit. Like, it was crazy. It was just a crazy moment, because it was just so much memory, so many memories, and so many, like, in the fields. We grew up with these characters and these actors that played these characters, and it just
Rez, since you mentioned Tobey Maguire, dude, I was so excited when I saw him, man.
Yeah, no, me too, man.
Movie, bro.
I love those.
Spoiler alert!
14 minutes. This is the new X-Men metal set. This is a red Wolverine PMG, numbered to 99. It's got 14 minutes left.
Good Lord.
You gotta let us know what it ends at. And
Good God.
That's nuts. Is that what sold out last week?
It's so this is a more current version of the sets that I showed you from auction. So those came out in 2017, but they were still available as of a year ago. You could go online and buy them in open packs. But this Wolverine card just literally sold out last Saturday. You can't get packs online anymore. You may still be able to find boxes and stuff on eBay, but that card's numbered to 99, and it's at $730 with a few 15 minutes to go. So
that's crazy.
And if it comes back graded 9 or a 10, it's probably double or triple that value. So
a lot of that stuff that you some of the cards that you showed, Mac, and I know Big John, you don't you're not too much into grading cards and stuff, but those Larry Johnson cards that you have, do you plan on getting those graded, or are you just going to keep them the way they are in the top loaders?
That's a good question. Yeah, I probably would. try to get some of them graded down the line. Like, I wouldn't pay to have them back in a month, you know, like it's not going to be something that I'm looking to like to resell, but especially for the numbered versions, I would probably consider it. Like, I didn't show all of them. Like, dude, I'm not even kidding. There's like, there's literally probably like 35 cards, but like this one is really cool. This is called a Mojo print. And whenever you see this, it's got like a pattern design in it that's kind of refractor. And these are always numbered to 25 whenever you see these in Prism. This pattern card is called a Mojo. You see it there, Mojo Prism. This is a PSA 9, and it's numbered to 25 there. So, the cards that are individually numbered like that, I showed you the Bronze Fast Break, that's numbered to 20. Those I'll probably get graded. Maybe the silver, some of the other like cracked ice cards that look cool in a slab. Maybe I'll do that. But yeah, some of the other, other stuff, I probably wouldn't be in a rush to get it back whenever. So this is one thing we didn't talk about. The PSA temporarily shut down their services because they got inundated with so many cards.
Oh, wow.
So they didn't want to take on any more business so that they can kind of catch up on the orders. A policy that I decided to follow with my jersey making business. So I got to get caught up on my orders before I take any more. But no, all jokes aside, they've recently reopened, but they've staggered the tiers. So they opened with like higher price points first, which means quicker turnaround times. And then they've kind of gradually started rolling out cheaper and cheaper options. So that's one of the things that led to the rise of the card community is people were paying $25 to get a card graded so they could take a card that was maybe worth, 15, $20, get it graded. And if it comes back at 10, maybe it's worth $100, 150. And that's an automatic flip for profit of like $100. You get 10 of those circumstances, all of a sudden you got $1,000 profit in your pocket. And maybe you can trade up into a larger card and just kind of keep the flow going. So the bottom kind of came out of a little bit of that. With the higher price points for grading, it's making grading some of those, less valuable cards not as attractive because you're going to have to wait longer to get them back. So it's kind of leveled the playing field a little bit and cut out some of the more common stuff from submissions. So, but it's a good question. I think the answer is, yeah, I'll probably do it eventually, but I'm not in a big rush. All these Marvel cards that I showed you that I got from just ripping wax, I bought like vintage boxes and just opened it all. Those are cards that I feel are going to be, more and more valuable as time goes on. So I'm not really in a rush to get them graded. I'm just kind of sitting on them right now. And when I feel like there's a price point that makes sense, I'll go ahead and submit them and hopefully get some good grades back. So we'll see.
Man, that's dope. Yeah. Snacks, I know one particular collection that you're really proud of. It's a dope collection, by the way, is like your Marvel / like hip hop album covers. I was actually looking on eBay the other day and I was looking at a couple of like, comic book covers. And I know like the Miles Morales / Nas, I think it was like from his was it Illmatic? Or
Illmatic,
yeah, his album. That one was dope. Like looking at a lot of those albums and just seeing like the representation of these iconic hip hop albums is super dope. And
I can show you a few that I got here.
Yeah, if not, for sure, we'd love to see it, man.
So I got the De La Soul. So this is autographed by De La Soul, which they're autographs to get them all in one. This is like my grail. This is like my baby right here, man. This is the Extraordinary X-Men #1.
That's fire.
And it's autographed and certified by CGC Signature Series. And you can't really see the autographs, but they're in gold. So we have an autograph here, and here some from all the De La Soul members. I have Red Wolf #1, and this one's autographed by Method Man. And
that's dope.
This is the album To Cal, but it has Red Wolf on it, and his how you call it? Method Man's autograph is right there. It's kind of hard because all these hip hop covers are hard to grade because they're mostly all black covers. So I have this Peter Parker Spider-Man. This is the Tupac. The All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me. Yeah.
All Eyes on Me. So you got Tupac doing you got Spider-Man doing that. The Spider-Man like he's supposed to do in the West Coast. And then you have Stan Lee. This is a Stan Lee autograph. It's right there. Stan Lee. So it's kind of like I said, all these comic book this are all black. So you got the Tribe Called Quest with Spider-Man. And this one's autographed by Stan Lee also.
That's right there.
Oh man, Stan Lee.
And I have hold on. And then you got the Miles Morales.
Yeah, that one is dope.
Dude,
the Nas album. And give me 1 second. I got it already out to the side over here.
Oh my god.
So like I'm trying to collect. They're becoming harder and harder to find. Some are easy to obtain, but I'm trying to get the full set. Some of these albums I don't know who they are. So I got the Prowler. I don't know the album cover. So somebody knows.
Prowler isn't that the villain in the Spidey Into the
Spider?
Spider?
Miles. That was Miles Morales.
Oh, right?
Uncle.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do the albums that I know. So this is Power Man and Iron Fist. That's the cover for Mobb Deep.
Yeah, that's dope.
You got the Ultimates is the cover for the Fugees.
That's sick.
Some of these I don't know. The Punisher, I think, isn't this L Cool J?
I think it is. Yeah. I think
so the Punisher. Then you got Hawkeye and Red Wolf. This is Capone Noriega.
Dang.
So then you got Civil War 2. This is Onyx, Back the Fuck Up, but it says Back the Heck Up.
Tech 9 collabs album. Oh, okay.
And this is Uncanny Avengers. I believe this is what's that grab group? Come on, yeah, I know this album.
That's Execution.
Public Enemy.
Right? Oh, Public Enemy. I thought it was
Public Enemy.
Oh yeah, Public Enemy, man.
Yeah.
Then you got Starbrand and Night Mask. This is Gangstar.
Yeah.
Then you got Web Warriors. This is Clips.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's fire.
I forgot this one. This was the one with Scarface and what's their name? The name of the group? Scarface. And the midget guy. Come on, people. Y'all supposed to be hip hop heads?
I got anyway.
All right, and you got the Roots. You got Avenger. This is the Roots with Miles Morales in the front. Then you have Pimp C, but it's Deadpool.
Oh yeah, yep.
The Ultimates 2. I think this is TLC.
Oh, that's cool.
You got
Ghetto
Man, but this is
Ghetto
Biggie.
Boy.
Ghetto Boys. There you go.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Oh yeah, that's Biggie.
Ant-Man.
Ready to shrink.
Then you got Spider-Man with the Lil Wayne album.
That's funny.
That's fire. You got De La Soul.
Oh yeah.
That's fire.
Big Pun, but it's Spider-Woman. Another De La Soul album. Then you got Wale, but it's Wade.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not sure about this one. I forgot what album this was. But if you know, you know. Some of these I don't know. I think this Spider Gwen. I forgot what album was this with the head. All right. Obviously, we don't got no hip hop heads in here. Then you got the Run Your what is it? Run Your Jewels.
Run the Jewels, yeah.
Run the Jewels with Black Panther. That's fire.
Dude, I want the Run the Jewels Scotty Young Deadpool 20
That
cover
was
so bad.
fire. I'm about to go get it on Saturday, man. I want to get that one on Saturday.
Damn.
It's graded too. So I'm
What
trying.
grade?
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
What grade?
I think it was a 9.6. Oh no, a 9.4. I'm gonna get it on Saturday.
It's a black cover, and black covers are like notoriously difficult to grade. Like they're susceptible to like the color rubbing off and spine ticks and stuff like that. So anything like above a 9.4 in that book is like really rare. So it's a super dope cover. It's got the Infinity Gauntlet, and if you know Run the Jewels, they do the like the fist and this, and so it's got the Infinity Gauntlet as one of the hands. It's really dope.
Adam, I just highlighting your comment. You said I was just watching a couple of videos about grading cards, video games, kind of shady. Like, can you be a little more specific on that? Like, are you talking about like the grading companies being shady, or are you talking about like just the community, like
people doing bad stuff?
Oh yeah. Oh, can I show a couple more? I gotta showcase my because I'm serious about my hip hop covers, man. So we got DMX.
Oh, that's one.
Blood of my blood. Flesh of my blood, whatever.
That's one of the most popular ones right there.
Fire.
Yeah, I got this in a 9.6. Like, remember, the black borders are really hard. So if you get this in a 9.8, forget about it. But 9.6 is good. And you got Rakim.
Yep.
With Deadpool and Spider-Man. I got that in a 9.8. Then I got Slick Rick, but it's Spider-Gwen.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
that's fire. And these are the ones I made a video on. So you got Riri Williams, which she's gonna have her own show soon. And I think I paid top dollar for this one because I believe in she's gonna be Ironheart, and this is the album for Missy Elliott. The Missy Elliott album. And Silk, I still haven't got Silk first appearance. I know Mac has it, but I had to get this one. This is
Most Def?
Most Def, his album Most Def.
Yeah.
So, but it's Silk. She's like a different version of Spider-Man. And this is one of the dopest one. I forgot I had this one. And the 9.8, I got the Black album, but with Black Panther. So it's kind of hard to see. It's like Black Panther putting down his mask. Yeah. But you know how Jay-Z, the Black album, he's wearing the Yankee hat.
Right.
But this was signed by the cover artist and Brian and one of the writers. And he put over here, he put Dirt Off My Shoulder. And it's freaking dope. And one of my my bad. I gotta show something else. Hold up. I gotta show Miles a little love. Hold on. So this is my autograph. Miles. This is the first time Spider-Gwen and Miles and Miles kiss. So this is gonna be this comic book became really hot when the trailer dropped. But this was autographed by the actor that voices Miles Morales in the.
Oh wow! No kidding.
So his autograph is right there. So that's a pretty dope. Oh shit. So yeah, okay, I'm done.
That's really dope, man. Yeah.
If I start showing my sponsorship, I'll fucking be all day.
Good God, man.
Dang, it just ended at that, huh? It was like 740, like 40 something, like 14 minutes.
7:30. It jumped up to 1,000 in the last 15 seconds. Yep.
Yo, that's exactly what I'm afraid of. That's exactly what I'm afraid of if I get into that realm of collecting. Like
the thing about it is you could go out and buy that card if you want, if you have the money, or you could wait for like the next product to come out, and maybe you open a few packs and you get a few really good, nice cards, and you can maybe trade them. You can trade them with different people and maybe work your way up to getting a card like that. It's not something that you have to just hit it, right out the gate. So, and this card you could have gotten in December for probably, $400 to $500. So, that's how much they've blown up because of that level setting that we talked about. Those are selling for big money on auction right now. And people are willing to pay that premium to get in and maybe have a banger on their hands.
Right.
Man, I would love to have this card.
Check that out.
Yeah, man.
Walter Payton.
As a Bears fan,
Walter Payton rookie right there.
Do you have any Gelsayers?
I actually do have. I have a couple Gale Sayers. Hold on. Let me get that.
Selectable says, "Bro, I drop sneakers for comic books." Yo, I mean,
That's real, man.
that is real. I believe it. You know, like sneakers are not the only thing out there that's worth money. Apparently, I mean, there's a lot of different things.
And you know, like if you have like a man cave or you know, like a little place where you watch your movies and entertainment, you have a little section, you know, where you can display your comic books. They display really well, you know, versus like a shoe. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's fire.
Well, I want to show some cards.
Sure. Show and tell, man. Show and tell.
I have a lot of like, you know, like stuff that this is my baby right here though. So this is my Topps Chrome Iverson rookie card.
Let's see.
So this is gonna be in a 9. I do have his regular rookie in a PSA 10, so I love that card.
You need to get a humidifier for it, Albert. You need to put it in a climate control.
Yeah, my shit's Incredible Hulk right now is greening.
I got this card for a great dude at a flea market, man. Old school Ditka.
Buckus. That's what's up.
So this card right here is funny. The Sam Vincent. If you know the story behind this card, Sam Vincent. Nobody cares who Sam Vincent is, but this is the game that Jordan wore number 12. If you see him right there in the corner, he's wearing number 12. So this is the only card that was produced that has Jordan wearing number 12. So that's the only reason people have this card in their collection. So that's the only reason I have it in my collection.
Because he's not even the center of that.
Yeah, he's not even the card. So here's like my run of rookies. This is my Eric Dickerson rookie card. Like these are not graded. These are just stuff I grew up with and I've had for years. And my Eric Dickerson rookie, Earl Campbell rookie. There's all my Philly stuff. Hold on. Gotta have Bo Jackson rookie. Jose Cruz rookie. I got my whole Dr. J. I collect all anything with Dr. J on it, but I like his vintage stuff. So Daryl Dawkins rookie card. This is one of the most famous Bo Jackson rookies, the Future Stars. I love that card.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dion with the Jerry Curl rookie card. The Shaq. It's crazy, the Shaq rookie card, but if it was the gold version, it would cost like triple times the price.
Mm-hmm.
Moses Malone rookie. That's one of the most famous Shaq rookie cards I think everybody had in their collection.
Yeah.
You already know. Barry Bonds.
Yep.
And I have my Social Security card, rookie card. Shouldn't be showing that.
Oh shit.
And that's it, man. I'm done. I have a lot more, but I don't want to flood it.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
Against your Niners, man.
Oh man. Yeah, that's super old school.
You know I had to show this out, man.
This is the card that Adam mentioned in the chat. This is a Billy Ripken. And if you look really close, let me see if I can zoom in on it. Yeah. My buddy just picked up this card actually, but if you look really close, the bottom of his bat barrel on the knob says.
Oh my gosh. Is that worth like a lot of money or?
People will pay for it, man. I don't know if it's
worth
a lot.
Novelty cards, man. You gotta have that in a collection.
Yeah.
I got
look. I had an artist. This is a 3 of 10. So the same thing with Mac was saying, artists. I do the same thing with people that do cards. So he did the Bill Ripken. He drew this. So this autograph by the artist. This is a 3 of 10. So it's the same card, but artist did this one.
That's fire. Yeah, I got some rare stuff too, man. Here we go. We got my Celtics Rick Fox.
No, not the Rick Fox. Yo, you gotta put that in a case, bro.
Rez, I'll send you a mag. You need to mag that.
Go get that graded, bro.
Got me an Anthony Carter Vikings right there.
Oh.
Not Chris Carter. Anthony Carter.
Not Chris Carter. Yeah, we got
the forgotten Carter.
We got 1/3 of Run TMC T-Bug.
Right.
And I think that's all I got right now.
Yeah, that's all.
Put my Vikings.
Oh no, I got a few more. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. We got Luke Longley in his T-Wolf days.
Ooh.
Jeez.
We got
Mac, make that jersey. Luke Longy Wolves. Not what the, who the hell is that?
Who is
That's the
that,
dude.
man?
Isn't that the dude
that
that hung like 40 on Jordan and was talking shit?
I think so, man.
And then Jordan gave him like 48 the next game.
Yep. Here we got Gerald Wilkins.
Yes.
Yeah, we got that one. Jeff Grayer from the Warriors. Ooh. So
Yeah.
keep in mind these cards.
Booming up.
These cards were given to me when I bought some jerseys from some like vintage collector. So they kind of like sent me things like this Keith Jennings one too.
I like it. What, did they know you were a Dubs fan?
Yeah, they did. Shout outs to Rare Wear Attire, actually. I don't know if you guys know about that.
That's my guy. That's the
yeah,
Young Bucks.
They sent like every time I buy stuff from them, they send me like a couple of cards and stuff. And
that's funny.
Yeah, I was hoping they were gonna send me a Popeye Jones, but I didn't get one. So you know,
not the Popeye Jones.
Tyrone Hill.
Or like a Sam.
It was my Griffey rookie collection.
Oh, shit.
PSA 9.
That's like a hologram. That's cool.
That's fire.
Oh, I like that Griffey too.
I think this got to be the great. Besides the 89,
I gotta get my Griffey game up, man. I gotta get my Griffey game up.
Hey, if you want to start, I'll probably I'll throw these at you.
You throw me a lot for a deal, a sweet deal.
No, the Mike Schmidt rookie card is one of my favorites. And of course, you know, I got a PSA 9 Iverson if you want to buy it. I got the 10. I got the 10. Yeah, I got the 10, and I got the 9. I'll give up the 9.
That's crazy. I need to get me an Donald Foyle rookie card too.
Bro, I think they'll give it. I think if you pump gas at 7-Eleven, they'll give you one for free.
I gotta get
in the back.
I gotta get his. I gotta get Jay Rich's.
I'm the Gem Mint King, man. The Mint Gem King. 9.5s with minimum grades only.
Well, excuse me.
No, I'm
like
kidding.
I know we
it just so happened that I ended up with all 9.5 Mint Gems for some reason in a period last spring. So
I know we we talked a lot about like sports cards and you know, comic character cards and comic books, but like Big John, you know, and I kind of want you to chime in on this a little bit if you can, but I mean, like, are there other like cards that you collect like outside of like the sports and comic book realm? Like Big John, I know you collect a lot of wrestling cards too. But are there like other cards out there that like have a huge following? Do you guys know, like off the top of your head?
I used to collect movie cards, believe it or not. One of the first movie cards I ever saw was the vintage, you know, Star Wars cards.
Okay.
I wish I still had those, but back when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I used to collect a lot of Star Wars, man.
That's dope.
And anything that is worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna say anything that is a big IP and has a following that people can be, you know, nostalgic about or fans of. You know, I think there's value in that. You know, one subgroup that kind of popped off in the last year is Formula One, F1. So it's, you know, it's a sport, but it's car racing, and that's something that really gained a lot of steam within the card community over the last year. I think wrestling cards are another one that are pretty undervalued right now. I think if you have guys like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, you know, Andre the Giant, anything crazy from them, I think, you know, is going to stand the test of time and be valuable down the line.
Big John's about to bring
he's about to bring the thunder up.
Yo,
definitely.
Jay Rich cards, hit me up. Yo, I got you, bro. I'm intrigued, man. I'm intrigued here. So see behind me, I got the Jay Rich.
And don't forget, yo, soccer blew up big time.
Soccer too, yeah.
Soccer too, yep.
That's a big following too.
Rez, do you know how many? Rez, I was gonna say, sorry for cutting you off, man.
No,
You
you're
know
good,
how
man.
much these cards go for, dude? I've seen the one Ric Flair card. This card right here. I've seen this card right here go for $1,000 just for this one card.
Yo, that's crazy.
And I'm lucky to have the entire set. I got these when they were cheaper. Now, the entire set is like $1,000, $2,000. And you know how I've been doing a lot of these virtual signings. I've been getting a lot of these signed. Like I just recently got Ron Simmons. Like when he saw, his rookie card. When he signed it, dude, do you know how excited he got when he saw that card? He said it took him back to memory lane. And he thanked me. He actually thanked me. He said, "Thank you for sending in this card. It brought back a lot of great memories for him."
Did he say, "Damn"? Did he say that?
No, he didn't say that. And I even got a picture of him holding up the card.
Oh, really? Oh, yo. We gotta see that.
Look at his face.
That's a candid moment right there. Nah, for sure. That's dope.
You should have seen him, dude. He was smiling, bro. That's what I love about collecting right here, man.
That's fine.
And it's just so cool. And I'm also going to be getting Arn Anderson signing as well. You know, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, you know, Horseman. So I'm also getting Tully's autograph as well. Tully Blanchard.
That's cool. Logan Paul collects G.I. Joe cards.
There's a whole story there. It involves a counterfeit box of Pokemon first gen cards.
Yeah, I heard.
He opened them up, and after he bought them from this guy who's a really high end collector, and he ended up with a box of G.I. Joe trading cards. So not exactly what he bargained for.
G.I. Joe #1, newsstand edition.
Yeah, much more valuable than the cards.
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. Because I know like Logan Paul, like, you know, he would come out wearing like the Charizard around his neck and stuff on the card.
Graded.
I was like, what the heck? This is crazy. Oh yeah, Adam says, Big John, he says, enough talk, get out the Dusty.
Oh, you gonna get the Dusty. You gonna get Big Dusty.
He said you gonna get the Dusty.
If you guys want to drop some comments in the chat, you know, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, you know, about tonight's topic, please, you know, utilize the comment section, man. We're pretty much answering all questions, kind of talking shop about the cards and the community and what this whole realm of thing is. I certainly learned a lot today. You know, there's a lot of information that I learned, good information. And this live will be playable. The playback will be replayable. So if you missed any part of the video and you want to go back, you know, you're more than welcome to check it out after this live is ended. But, you know, like in terms of like your guys' collecting, you know, what is it? What's next for you guys? Like, is there any specific line on your list or any specific, you know, type of card or comic that you guys
I'm gonna continue to my comic book store already know anything that has Miles Morales on the cover I want. I'm already subscribed, but like, you know, your local comic book store, if you like, they have these programs. If you put $10 down, and if you want, you know, oh, I want Spider-Man or whatever, once the new stuff comes in, they'll put it aside for you. So I get everything Miles Morales. They already know if he's on the cover, I want it. So I'm a fan of Miles Morales. I actually read the comics. So I usually buy one, keep it in bag and board, and the other one I read. So I have a whole long box just dedicated to Miles Morales. So I'm going to continue Miles Morales. I really want to complete and of course Spawn. I'm trying to complete his whole set, which is that big long. I got a big long box right there. It's huge, and it's the longest running independent comic book, and it's ongoing. So it's over 300 already. We're almost at 325 right now. So I have about, out of 325, I probably have like 250, so around there. So I'm getting really close. It's getting more expensive, because there's a short print, whatever. Anyways, so it's Spawn, hip hop covers, Miles Morales, And once in a while, I'll treat myself to a big book, meaning like Black Panther number one, or the next one I want to start collecting is Silk. She's Spider-Man character also. I think she's really dope. Spider-Gwen is dope too, but Silk is just doper to me, and definitely that's what I'm gonna continue doing. As far as cards, I think I'm done. I'm good with what I have. I'm happy with what I have, and it's something I just enjoy to watch. It's nothing I'm trying to flip or anything like that. I have every Iverson rookie card I wanted. That collection's done, or every Roberto Clemente card I always wanted. That collection's done, and sprinkle in some cards of players I love, like Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, and I'm good, man. But as far as comic books, I'm gonna continue Miles Morales, Spawn, hip hop covers, and of course jersey collecting and anything vintage. Can I show off my real quick? I gotta show it off real quick. Hold on. Oh, yeah, I'll show it like this. My Nickelodeon boombox. I want to get that whole. I want to get the whole Blaster series. So far, I got the radio, and I got the boombox. Next, I want to get the camera, and yeah, that's it.
That's dope.
But where are your Miles Morales cards, Albert? Is what we want to know.
Bro, I'm waiting for you to send them to me, bro. Basically, man.
Oh man.
For sure. Just to answer your question real quick, Adam, wrestling episode is coming. I did one a while back. When I think I forgot it was a while back, but I did one and I had KBM on the live with me and Big John. I know you're a big wrestling guy too, man. So definitely it's something that we will be exploring in the near future pretty soon. Especially with WrestleMania around the corner, I think that'd be interesting to have.
Me and Adam taking over, man.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. We could definitely discuss, having like you guys as like co-hosts and stuff like that. Generic, what's your IG, bro? Mine is at REZRECTION, spelled like my name here. It's REZ as in zebra, RECTION. All these other guys here that are on screen with me also have Instagram. So
yeah, I think when he said generic, I think he's talking about generic Miles Morales.
My bad.
Nah, you good. Yo, promote your shit. Yeah. I never promote my shit, so.
For sure. Nah, for sure.
It's Fat Boy Snacks.
Yeah. And then follow Rivalry Sportswear _ right, Mac? It's Rivalry _
Rivalry's the man.
_ sports sportswear. Sorry, I'm like drawing a brain fart right now. My bad. And then Big John, of course, dope. Always a pleasure to have you on, bro. We have just hit like the 3-hour mark, so I'm gonna kind of start wrapping things up here. But I definitely want to, give recognition to these guys that are on here on the panel with me and everybody in the comment section as well, man. These guys are veterans of the card game. Like I said, I don't collect too many cards, not like that level of it. I mean, I'm familiar with collecting cards, but I'm glad that I had this live because it was something that not many people knew about, like myself included, and I wanted to learn more about it. And I hope that everybody that was in the comment section learned with me if you guys were in a position like myself, because I certainly learned a lot. I learned a lot of new terminology. I learned a lot about grading. I learned a lot about, the reputable graders, if you will, to really just kind of break this down, man, and the different types of cards for like the comic realm, sports, and even with the wrestling stuff, man. And I got to share my collecting of like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and kind of touched on Pokemon a little bit here, man. But I mean, is there any like, just to leave the floor with one last question, is there anything you guys wanted to add or anything you want to talk about before we start kind of wrapping things up here?
Man, I want to say I really enjoyed, today's topic. I've been collecting trading cards since I was a little kid. Football and wrestling. It's just something I really enjoy. And, I met some wonderful people from collecting as well. Like every month I go to the flea market in Tupelo, and there's this guy I've known for a while. You want to talk about a great collection, man. He collects baseball, football, basketball, man. He's got some great stuff. He's got some great rookie cards, and I can't tell you how much he's hooked me up as well. And then there's another guy older guy, man. He collects a little bit of everything. Sports cards, he's an Alabama fan, so he's got a lot of those Alabama cards. He's got like Elvis Presley trading cards. He's got trading cards from movies like the original, Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. He's also got a lot of comic books and records and everything we've talked about. He's got, including wrestling cards. So when we're talking about all this stuff, I started thinking about that old man.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that Big John brings up that's a good kind of place to leave this as a takeaway. And it's, if you're interested in this sort of stuff, get out there, look for the information, look on YouTube, find content creators that you like that are really informative. Go to card shows, go to card shops, support those places, because the more relationships you build with people, they get to know what you like, you get to know what they like. You can work deals with one another. If you hook them up on a deal, they'll be more than likely to hook you up down the line as well. So build those relationships, get out there and learn a lot, ask questions. Don't feel like you can't do that because everybody started somewhere. And that's the best advice I can give, because when I was younger collecting cards, I didn't go to shows and like try to haggle with people or do deals with people. I was just like, how much is that? And they're like, $20, kid. And I'd be like, okay, and it's a different world now. Like, people are connected more than ever through social media. You can do trades, with people that you trust, and that you can get vouched for on different groups. Like, I've talked a lot about Marvel cards, but there's a couple really great Facebook groups, just like we have Kings of Throwbacks. There's card groups too. There's a whole group out there for Tom Brady collectors, So just seek out those resources, because you can learn a lot and you can really decide to get involved. And the other thing too that I just want to say is, like, you don't have to go out there and spend, $5,000 on a comic book or a card. Like, I decided I was going to get cards for Patriots players, to kind of build up a setup for my game room. And like, these cards they're high-end product, but they're not super expensive. If you want a Tom Brady, you're going to have to shell out some money, but some of these other guys you can get pretty affordably. So don't feel like you're going to price yourself out or you can't get certain things. Just, get in there and see what you can find and ask questions, and people can point you in the right direction for things too. So that's just what I would say. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, man.
And to me, like people always say, like, the age thing, oh, you're too old to collect comic books. You're too old to I'm like, F all that, because it's one of those things, man. If it brings you joy and all that stuff, man, whatever you're into, you're into. I say just have fun with it, but don't go broke doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like M. Diddy said, build those relationships, support your local comic book shops and card shops and stuff like that. Build those relationships, and just have fun with it. I have fun with it. Yeah, I'm 41 years old and I collect Miles Morales. Like, I collect Miles Morales because I'm Puerto Rican and we don't have Puerto Rican superheroes. And I'm so happy that, he's half Puerto Rican, half black. But to have any kind of Puerto Rican being represented in the Marvel universe is dope to me. And I'm a very proud person of my heritage and my people. Like Rez, or if you had a superhero that was Filipino and he was a big part of the MCU, I think you will go hard. Like, you will like, yo, that's my guy. You gotta represent, even whatever he represents. But I think the old age thing, because a lot of people will hit that up, like, yo, you guys still collecting cards? You guys still collecting comic books? Like, yeah, because it's fun, it's dope. When do we lose this? When do we lose that part of our childhood? You know what I'm saying? When is it okay not to stop collecting something? Like, why? We're all adults, we're all responsible, we all have jobs, we all have families and girlfriends and stuff like that. But once in a while, man, this stuff right here, it takes me away from all this COVID shit, all the stresses of the world. And I can sit down and just enjoy my collection, and it takes me to a happy place for like 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes are totally worth spending all this money. Like, I'm 41 years old with a Nickelodeon boombox. Who does that? So just enjoy it, man. Just have fun with it, man. But don't let it ruin your life or ruin your relationship with the people you're around with. You know what I'm saying?
Rez, I want to say two things. Since was a Surge or Sar, brought up Eddie Guerrero. Yesterday was the anniversary of Eddie, winning the WWE Championship. At the Cow Palace. I remember being a 4-year-old and watching Eddie, man. And I want to say this, man. Back in 2004, it was a rough time for me and my family. And watching it help Eddie win the championship helped me through a lot, man. And every time I see that, Eddie hugging his mom and his brother, it's one of those moments like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, man. But as Eddie was the close thing, as a Brown kid growing up, Eddie Guerrero was my hero. Eddie, Ray, all these guys. And then Great Khali came in and oh God.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I keep being called Great Khali. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I would rather be called Jinder Mahal. Actually,
no, but that's what I love about like collecting, like when we collect like these characters or people, and they resemble, like a lot of them represent a part of us, whether it be culturally or what their personal views are, or what they stand for. And I think that's what connects us to a lot of these, collections of like cards, comics, or just wrestling, in general. Like that it plays a big role in our it hits a spot, in us personally. Like the John Cena thing, for example. Like he wasn't Filipino, but like he represented an era of something that I was like, that was a part of my fiber, like my being, like that hip hop. And then like he got me into sports. I got into sports. That sports kind of was linked into me like losing weight at the time and being. There's just so many different layers to it. I know, and people were just like that was he just played a gimmick. I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. That was like a representation of something that was real back then. You know what I mean? And like, I don't want to get all like emotional and
hard to beat you to it.
But it's just one of those things, man. Like it's like Snack said, he's 41 years old with a Nickelodeon boombox. Like who does that, But it has a special place because it takes him back to a time, a special time in his life where it really, I'm sure, was a very important time for him.
And it's dope. Like who can it's dope. I don't know. Like to me, you can't tell me that my boombox ain't dope. That my fucking Miles Morales collection ain't dope. To me, it's dope. You know what I'm saying? I bet you have your John Cena stuff. M. Diddy has his whole like dildo collection, and he thinks it's dope. He loves that shit. And you know what I'm saying? You got the gold foil.
Wait, you said LJ, not dildo, right? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, LJ collection.
Okay.
So like, man, like I said, you're right, man. It should just takes you to a happy place, man.
Yeah.
Like I said,
that's like a weird
takes you to a happy place for like 10 minutes. If those 10 minutes you're in a happy zone, that's all I need, bro.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, guys. Well, look, I would love to stay in chat, but I know it's getting late in some places on the East Coast. I know it's like midnight over there. So I definitely want to thank everybody again, tonight who chimed in. I want to thank my two co-hosts here on my my right side. Sorry, my camera's inverted, but I want to thank my two guests over here, M. Diddy and
like the video.
Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this live as well. Also, I want to thank my guests who hopped on with us this evening. Big John, thank you, bro. I always appreciate you hopping on. And, of course, all the guests in the comment section who was live tonight, man. If I missed any of your questions, I do apologize. If there's a question you wanted me to answer that I didn't answer in this live, just drop it in the comments, and I'll make sure I respond to you promptly, man. Just to kind of give you a heads up of the scheduling, I did say that I do go live every Wednesdays at 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, next week, I'm not going to be going live on Wednesday. I actually have there was a death in my family, so I have to take care of that, man. But I definitely will be back very soon. There might be a day where I might postpone, maybe reschedule it next week. But as of right now, I don't have a schedule for next week live on live stream. So hope you guys understand.
Take your time coming back, bro. No,
Take
your time coming back, bro.
For sure, and I do appreciate that to everybody who reached out, man. And Mac, thank you again for working with me with our current order and stuff like that. But
don't mention it.
For sure, man. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys tonight. Again, thank you guys. Subscribe to all these great gentlemen and gals, if there was any in here. Check them out. They have great channels, great collections other than jerseys. You know, they collect a lot of different stuff, as you saw here tonight, man. So this is just we just scratched the surface here tonight, man. There's so much more layers to this area of collecting. So all right, guys, I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you all very soon. All right, we out. Peace.
We out. Peace.
All right, later, y'all.